Hello, I'm Ritesh Jaiswal. So prelims 2025 is over, result is declared, and many of you must be preparing for mains 2025. So we are here to help you, and I'm going to record a long one-shot video for important topic in science and technology for mains 2025. I have selected around 20 topics in the form of 20 questions because science and technology is very diverse area. In this diverse area, we cannot go for each and every topic, but we can select few of them to give you a proper insight. So we can interact, you can come and watch, and in this video, I'll enlighten you, I'll help you with questions and their answer, some pointers of 20 different topics of science and technology. So in this long video, we are going to discuss all important and relevant topic. So what we are going to discuss in this video that will pick up some question from each and every topic. Let's say if I talk about the topics that we have decided to go ahead with in science and technology, and that is especially mains 2025, then we can easily expect around 2 to 4 question from this area. So 2 to 4 question, like I'll be honest, because obviously in paper 3 there are so many topics and science and technology is also there, and there has been trend of about 2 to 4 questions. But you know that in main examination each and every question is very important. You cannot afford to lose any one of them. You have to attempt all of them. So whether it is 2 or 3 or 4, that's very, very important. Now, in the science and technology, there are different chapters and area that we are going to discuss. And I'll write the prominent chapters. And obviously, we won't only go with the prominent chapters, rather we'll bridge the boundary and we'll also enter into some minor area as well. But when it comes to the chapters, then the chapters we are going to discuss is biotech, right? Then we'll talk about nanotech. So questions from nanotech. Then we'll have questions coming from robotics. Then we'll have question coming from space tech. Then we'll have questions coming from your IT and computers, right? Then we'll have question coming from defense tech, very important these days. And then we'll have some questions coming from nuclear technology. And then there would be some extra also, some extra topic that we'll discuss, right? So our way will be that from each and every topic we'll get some sample question, and the sample question will be designed in such a way that it will give you insight of that topic, and it will also enlighten you that how to tackle this. And moreover, I'll focus on to the answer format, that if questions are there, then what should be the answer format, what kind of points and a skeleton you should have in your mind, and so that you can go and you can expand it. So main examination is all about that you are having and framing and a skeleton of the answer, and then you are putting flesh and blood onto it to make it more visible, to make it more expressive, to make it more readable. So that is what we are going to discuss. In that way, today in this class we are going to discuss first of all biotech. So I'll take some sample questions from biotech and we'll explore this sample question, and then we'll try to find out the answers, right? So it will be a kind of question answer format and we'll talk about it. So I have already framed some of the questions, and obviously I'm not saying that it's a guesswork. It's not a guesswork. It's a kind of mental exercise. It's an exercise before you are going to write them in examination, right? But yes, the topics that we are discussing, that could be very important, right? and then we'll also learn how to tackle it. In that way, the first question that we are going to discuss in this biotech is there on your board on the screen. And this is biotechnology is not just a scientific field, it is a powerful tool that is transforming industries, improving human health, and contributing to a more sustainable world. Comment, right? So these kind of questions which are multidisciplinary in approach can come up. And you can see in this question, you need to understand the command of the question. It's saying that it's not just a scientific field. It's a powerful tool and it is transforming industry, improving human health, contributing to more sustainable world. Whenever it comes to sustainable world, it means that it won't be only limited to industries and human health. Sustainable world means it will have lots many things there. I mean, whenever we say sustainable world, then one thing will come up, that is environment. The other thing would come up, that good agricultural practices, right? Next thing will come up, like good industrial practices, and human health is already there. And then there are many global challenges as well, where we need to address the thing, right? So that is what we have to do. So whenever you are going to tackle this question and you are going to frame an answer about it, then you have to go with the intro. And in this intro, you just introduce the entire thing, right? You just expand it a little more, right? Like we can simply say that biotechnology is revolutionizing various aspects of the world, right? From healthcare to agriculture to environmental sustainability and industrial process, right? So we are expanding it. And then we can also go ahead to tell that it is impacting how we produce food, how we develop medicines, how we clean our environment, and how we are creating new materials. So we can have a focus on to that how it is impacting the very basic and fundamental requirement of our life, right? And obviously sustainability must be maintained. So it is about, we'll have to talk about that how it is giving food, then how it is developing medicine, right? Then we can talk about how it is clean environment, how it is, helping us to create new materials, right? So these kind of thing you can put in the intro. And obviously you can put emphasis on sustainability. And then we can go with the points manner. If such kind of questions are there, then you need to go with the point like manner, right? So that examiner is able to see exactly that you want to show, right? So what we can see, so here we can now talk about sectors, right? Like I told you, I am not dictating the answer, rather I am helping you to develop a framework and a skeleton of it. So sectors where biotechnology is helping you, right? So first sector is healthcare, right? And in healthcare also we can have a lot many things like disease prevention and treatment, right? So the healthcare we can talk about disease prevention and treatment. I'm sure you must be knowing about it because obviously once you are preparing for main examination after passing prelims, then even heading and subheading would guide you to write things about it. For example, if I talk about disease prevention and treatment, then biotechnology is playing very crucial role, right? Because we are developing vaccine by biotechnology. mRNA vaccines are there, DNA vaccines are there. COVID-19 vaccines have been produced due to biotechnological tools and its development. And then nowadays there is a lot many things happening at personalized treatment, precise treatment, right? And we have already developed many diagnostic technology, right? where we can diagnose the disease, right? And many antibiotics and medicines that can help for the treatment of it. So COVID-19 changed the entire thing, and the healthcare sector has gone through the boom. Biotechnology become very big thing after that, even in India. In that light only, you can write something out there. I mean, if you want to, then you can focus onto the vaccine and you can enumerate some example of the vaccines there. Then the second thing, it's not only one. Second thing is gene editing, because obviously you are talking about biotech and gene editing, or we can simply say like gene therapy. So such kind of things are going on. And we all know that gene editing and gene therapy. Like here we can give example of CRISPR-Cas9 technology and how CRISPR-Cas9 technology is offering a very potent treatment methodology for diseases which are hard to treat, like cancer and CAR T cell therapy, right? India has developed its own CAR T cell therapy, which is basically a gene therapy method, and that is NextCAR19, right? I'm sure that you must be knowing it, right? So after looking into the person's genome, we offer the gene editing and gene therapy methodology, which are very personalized to that particular person, and we can treat genetic disease as well as disease which are very hard to treat like cancer, right? And then one more thing you can add, drug discovery, drug discovery and development, and development. So with the help of biotechnological tools, we are doing this too, right? New drugs are coming, therapies are coming. So that 3 points you can put in. You can put 2 points also. So skeleton is important. Now, this one sector we have already done. What about the next sector? Second sector that we can pick up, health after healthcare, and we can pick up agriculture, right? So because it is helping in agriculture also, because we have to prove it that biotechnology is not only a scientific field, rather it is powerful tool for sustainable world. So agriculture is something where biotech is playing very important role. We all know GM crops and everything, and there we can subheadings we can create, and we can write some point like increased crop yield, increased crop yield, right? By obviously GM crops. So here we can call it GM crops, right? Second thing we can write here, that improved nutritional value, right? So improved nutritional value, right? And one more you can write, obviously we'll try to have at least 2 to 3 points in everything, and that is sustainable farming practices. Sustainable farming practices. Remember, if you want to give some example, you can give it. Increased crop yield, you can write it. Like India has developed GM rubber, and GM rubber, once it will be accepted into in an agriculture system, it is going to increase the crop yield. Improved nutritional value, we can give example of golden rice, right, which is proven that it will increase nutritional aspect. It will give vitamin A along with the starch. And sustainable farming practices, because obviously we have developed many such GM crops which require less pesticide or no pesticide. The best example that we can give is BT cotton. And there we don't need to use chemical pesticide, and that is very much important in terms of sustainability and environmental aspect. So that we can write. 2 things we have done. Now, at that point only, we can move on to the third sector, right? So third sector that we can move on is environment. right? Now, environment can be a very big topic, and in our next question, we'll explore environment and biotechnology together. But here, environment is one sector because we are talking about biotechnology as a sustainable development tool, right? And impact of biotechnology in all different area which are important for us. So here in environment we can talk about bioremediation. Bioremediation. Now you know that what is bioremediation. Bioremediation means that we can clean up pollutant area and pollutants by using some microorganism, by using some biological agent. And that will be far better than cleaning by chemical agents, right? Because chemical agents, when you put in, then it might clean a particular area in one way, but the other way it will pollute also. So that's the problem. So using biological microorganism and biological entity is good way. Like we have phytoremediation, or let's say phycoremediation, and we have bioaugmentation or biostimulation. These are the methods. Even your sewer treatment plants are using the bioremediation method, and there the water is being treated in that way, right? Then we are also developing biodegradable materials. Biodegradable materials. Now, what are these biodegradable materials? Like, for example, we can say bioplastics. You know, so you know that plastics are inevitable now. We are living our life and we use plastic in some way or other. And now we understand plastic is a menace and we are trying to control the uses of it. And then bioplastics came. Bioplastics are those that will replace the traditional plastic. It is alternative to traditional plastic, and it will degrade easily in the environment. It won't have long-term impact onto the environment, right? And then it will be a very good decision if we go with that. And we are all planned to go with that. Then third area we can talk about is sustainable energy. Yes, energy and environment is very much linked. So we can explore biofuels, we can explore bioethanol, we can explore biogas, and that will ensure a cleaner energy future, right? So it's all about biofuels. You know about it, that we have flex fuel concept, and we are already going through ethanol blending program, and this ethanol is biofuel only. Overall pollution will come down, and it will also ensure energy security in the future, right? So that is what we can talk about. Now, this is our third sector. The fourth area that we can talk about is industrial application, right? Industrial application, right? Industrial application. And there we can enumerate 2-3 points again. For that matter, biomanufacturing, biomanufacturing. Now, what is this biomanufacturing? Biomanufacturing means that you use industrial product, right? Right. You use and produce industrial products, that is enzymes, different chemicals and materials, often similar to the biological materials, so that environment can easily degrade it, and then it will have very smaller environmental footprint, right? And it will be in a long run very beneficial for the environmental aspect, right? Next one is textile production. You know that textile, we deal with artificial fiber, and artificial fiber again it come to the gray area, right? But then textile production, then we can go ahead with what? Biodegradable and biological materials. Nowadays, a spider silk is very much in news. And then They're also talking about that dyeing process should not use the chemical dye. Rather, we can use biological dyes to give colors to the textile, because these colors, which are chemical in nature, they have their own degradative effect onto the environment. So again, more sustainable way we can find out. And then one we can write cleaner, cleaner, cleaner manufacturing process. Cleaner manufacturing process. So in industry, we can adopt it. So biotechnology can be used to develop more efficient and environment friendly manufacturing process. It will reduce the waste and energy consumption. Just you need to do some little changes. Let's say energy source, you use the biofuels. In the dyeing and processing, you use biological products and chemicals, biochemicals. In that way, you can make cleaner manufacturing process, right? And again, one more thing we can go ahead with, that it's not limited to that. The fifth area that we can sum up with, we can just finish it with that, that is biotechnology is so widespread and so upcoming that it can address some prominent global challenges, right? So it can address global challenges. It can address global challenges, right? Like we can talk about food security. I'm sure that you don't need my intervention into that. You can write a lot many things about it, because GM crop, increased productivity, right? That can do. And not only food security and nutritional security. So we need to go for the nutritional security now. Globally, we need to go for the food security. In India, food security we are already giving, and the next step will be nutritional security. Right. So that is one global scenario. Second one is climate change mitigation. Now, how come a global scenario or global challenges can be discussed without discussing climate change? And especially when we are talking about biotechnology, no, not at all. Right. And we know that we can develop biofuels, we can reduce greenhouse gas emission, and we can develop many bioremediation programs. And then it will also help, this biotechnology will also help carbon sequestrations, right? So that is the way. And then at the last, we can say sustainable development. Sustainable development, right? So biotechnology will offer solutions to wide range of sustainability challenges, waste management, resource conservation, and it will help to build a more sustainable future. So, and that note, you can finish it off. And obviously, you have to conclude it. So remember, in the question, if you go, then question is not asking anything specific to India. But as a UPSC aspirant, you know that if we have to conclude, conclusion, then you must write Indian aspect, right? So while discussing, I have talked about many Indian aspects. You can take few of them. You can mention that how we are trying to adopt GM crops, how we have adopted BT cotton to reduce the chemical pesticide application, how we have developed the gene therapy program and our own CAR T cell therapy for the cancer treatment, how we are having this ethanol blending program. So you can make a small, nice paragraph mentioning 2-3 aspects of it. That biotechnology, that's a tool for sustainable development and benefiting lots many area, and India is not behind it. India is also running fast in that way, right? So this is the thing that you can do it. Now quickly we'll look into the entire thing. This was your question and I have given the skeleton and framework of the entire thing, right? And obviously you can improve also. You put your own input also and you can improve that, right? Now let's come to the next question. And like I told you that there is a connection between biotech and environment and that connection must be explored. And the question is very good. I really like this question. How does environmental biotechnology offer a sustainable approach to tackling environmental problems by harnessing the power of biological system? It might look complex, but here the key word that we can understand, the key word is environmental biotechnology that you have to explain. And then what are the offers? What are the offers? Offers for what? Offers for offers to tackle environmental problem. That's it. Now the things are written over here, harnessing the power of biological system. When you talk about biotechnology, it's included in that only. So you need to understand the command of it. The question is commanding you to give a little bit idea about what is environmental biotechnology and then what it can offer. A sustainable approach that it can offer to tackle the environmental problems, right? So here when we go and tackle this question, then the intro part is very easy because here you can define environmental biotechnology. Environmental biotechnology. And environmental biotechnology you can define in your way, like that environmental biotechnology is application of biological system and the process to address environmental challenges and promote sustainability, right? It involves using microorganism, enzymes, and all different biological agents to clean up pollution, manage waste, produce renewable energy, and to develop sustainable materials, right? So it's a very easy definition. You can you can construct this definition with all the knowledge that you have in your brain. You can use it, right? And if you have any difficulty, you can just go back and you can just listen what I have already dictated, right? Now, once we have already defined it, intro definition is already given. So what next? The next thing that we can talk about, what are the sectors? What are the core concepts? So here the process, or let's say here the entire thing will be that core concept and key applications. So two things we can talk about. So here in a main body, like the main question answers body, that we can have core concept. So if we talk about core concepts, so what are those core concepts? I'm writing over here. So first core concept we have already talked about is bioremediation. Very big thing. Bioremediation, using biological agents and microorganisms to clean up the environment. Second one is waste management. Obviously, waste management by biological agents, right? And okay, obviously we'll talk about some of the examples as well, right? Like waste management, like treating the sewage and industrial wastes, right? And treating sewage in industrial waste with the biological way, biotechnological way, will make it more sustainable. It won't lead to secondary pollution and it will be good enough, right? Next one is bioenergy production. Again, bioenergy production, right? One more, biopesticide and biocontrol. Biopesticide and bio control, right? One more we can write sustainable materials. Sustainable materials. So these are the core concept area that we can use it for the main body of the answer, right? And we know that bioenergy production is biomass, renewable biomass sources. We are getting some fuel from the algae also, right? And then we are producing biofuels of different types, right? Biopesticides, this is the alternative of the chemical pesticides, and it will have very little impact onto the environment, and it will be effective to manage the harmful insect as well, right? And it will also help in agriculture as well as forestry, right? And that is what we call it biological control. Sustainable materials is creating biodegradable materials, right? And green chemicals. The green chemicals are what? We'll talk about green chemicals. Green chemicals which will have very low environmental impact. So chemicals are inevitable, we are going to use it. And once we have done with the key concepts, core concepts, then we can go with the key application, right? Key applications. So in this type of answer, it's always advisable to make tables, and then either you make pointers and then you show it. Like the key application is wastewater management, so you can write it there also, but application part we can show with the examples, right? So wastewater management, that means you can put the examples also, like sewage treatment plants using microorganism to remove and degrade the harmful waste to make it water fit to be released into the river, right? Similarly, soil remediation. Soil remediation means we use microorganism, right, to clean up the contaminated soil and restore its fertility, right? So it's already there. Bioaugmentation, biostimulation, these are the things that we are using it. Then we have air pollution control. That is what we are doing. Air pollution control. How we are doing? Right. So we are developing biofilters, and these biofilters will remove pollutant from the air. And that's a very important aspect of it. Right. Then we are also doing climate change mitigation. Climate change mitigation. Right. How we are doing climate change mitigation? So climate change mitigation, because we are developing carbon capture and storage technology, carbon sequestration technology with the help of biotechnology, right? In aquatic system, with the growth of algae, we can store a lot of carbon, right? Recently, it was in news, you can mention that too. And it is also promoting sustainable agriculture practices, which leaves very less carbon footprint. And like I told you, that here the other application is green chemistry. Green chemistry. And when we talk about green chemistry, then it is environmental friendly chemical process or chemical substance. These are the biological catalyst. These are the sustainable feedstocks. And then these chemicals we can use, still it will have very little environmental impact or no environmental impact. Like if we are dyeing some clothes into the dyes, then dye should be chemical. But if dye is chemical, then it will have very bad environmental impact. So we can replace this chemical dye with the biological dye. Right. Now, here we can mention, like obviously once you have done, then what we can conclude upon. So we can conclude upon India's initiative. India's initiative, right? Right. And India's initiative, there is two things. One is Department of Biotechnology, DBT. So DBT is promoting R&D into it. So DBT is promoting a lot of R&D, and you can simply write this term, right? Second thing, that we are already running some program in India which will link with environmental biotechnology, like Swachh Bharat. So Swachh Bharat program that we can write and talk about, and that there is something called National Clean Air Program, right? So that is what we can talk about. Obviously, there is one word of caution, and that is, if you are new, and if you are new in this preparation, then these discussion that I'm going through might not make great sense to you. But especially this particular YT YouTube class is for those people who are already mature enough to handle it, because for them, as a mentor, I have to give the skeleton only, framework only, and they can add a lot of data according to their own requirement. So especially this is designed for those who are appearing for main examination. So any of you who are just started your preparation, many of the terms might look alien and new to you, but don't worry. Once you have gone through the fundamentals of everything, biotechnology, nanotech, and robotics, and everything, then this will start making sense to you. Not a problem at all, right? Anyway, so this is our second question of biotechnology. Now we'll move on to the third question. Now this question is again linked to current development, and obviously UPSC, they take inspiration from current event, and that is why we have already placed over here. And it is India's development of genome edited rice varieties is a significant advancement in agricultural biotechnology with implications for food security, sustainability, and climate resilience. Explain. So statement is there, and this is statement you have to explain. Now the question is very much linked to the very much linked to the current development. And this current development is, first of all, I'll tell you the current development. What was that? You know that Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR, and just in this year only, in 2025 only, ICAR released India's first genome edited rice, and that is called DRR Dhan 100. Two rice variety. The first one is DRR Dhan 100, that is also called Kamla, right? And the second one is Pusa DST rice 1. Pusa DST rice 1. Now that's the background of this question, because the question itself says, here we can understand that the question is all about India's development of genome edited rice varieties. So these are the varieties. Is a significant advancement in agriculture biotechnology with implication for food security, sustainability, and climate resilience. That means we have to explore this recent thing which happened in India, and we have to explore to the level where we can understand and mention all the things that question has asked. That means we have to go a little bit in depth of it. But because the question is especially mentioning and indicating towards genome edited rice variety, then we have to name it. We have to name it. There we need to use the facts and data also. Because this is very clear indication. The question wants to explore your knowledge and understanding about ICAR recent development and release of two genome edited rice variety. And that's first time in India. What makes it more important that these genome edited rice, they are not having any foreign gene into it. Rather, this genome edited rice, that the gene has been removed. Addition of gene is not been done. So it's not genetically modified, it's edited. There is a little bit difference. In modified, sometimes we put the gene also, but here the genes has not been placed. So that you have to explain. So here what we have to talk about in the intro part, when you introduce your answer, then first para you write about this achievement, and at the same time you need to mention two things about it. The first thing, no foreign gene, right? No foreign gene included. So no foreign gene was included into it. And the second thing, this technology has been developed by using CRISPR, Cas9 and SDN technology, site-directed nuclease technology. I'm sure you must be knowing it. In my classes, we always talk about SDN and CRISPR-Cas9 in detail. So if you are new into preparation and by chance you are watching this video, then you can comment in the comment section you want to know, and we can come up with the video or a clipping about this. But for people who are appearing for main examination, I don't need to enlighten them, right? But yes, ICAR, these two varieties, and one thing that you have to focus on to, no foreign gene has been included. It's just like some modification, some editing has been done. A little bit editing that has been done. You get my point? So that's the main thing about it. Now, once we have done with it, right? Once we have explained everything about it, and then you can put it like it is aimed at boosting the yield, climate resilience, and all the benefit. But then we'll have to talk about benefit in some separate paragraph, because that will make the body of the answer, right? Because that is what they're trying to explore. So what will happen once you have done with the intro, then we'll come to the main part of it, and that is key feature, characteristics, right? So key features we can talk about, although you don't need to write the key features word, you don't need to write it. I'm writing it so that we can make the skeleton framework. And the key feature that we can talk about is higher yield. The first thing, not a rocket science, everybody know, higher yield, right? Higher yield. The second thing that we can talk, obviously higher yield is there. So they are designed in a way that it will produce more grains, right? More grains per plant, and overall increase in yield. The second thing is climate resilience, right? That's very important. Right, because you know that climate resilience should be there, because climate change is a real thing, and climate change will have its adverse impact onto our productivity, and we don't want to go with that. So before the climate change start impacting the entire thing, we should be able to handle our own way. We should be able to modify the agriculture practices that we are practicing, right? So it is designed in such a way that it can tolerate drought, salinity, and different kind of climatic stress. So this rice can be grown in a different and diverse area. Although you know that rice plantations are always concentrated around a particular climatic area where rainfall is good, where irrigation facilities are good. But obviously, climate change is going to make the entire scenario. So, this rice varieties, they can handle salinity, they can handle less irrigation, they can handle drought also. So, that is what. Third thing, resource efficiency. Resource efficiency. These are, now what does it mean? When I say resource efficiency means these varieties of rice are engineered in a way that it will utilize the nutrient in a better and efficient way. Nutrient means the fertilizers that you put in, this is going to use it in a better way, right? So because they can use it in a better way, so you need to put less fertilizer and water. Because in agriculture, resources are what? Fertilizer and water. But they are designed in a such a way that they can optimally use it, efficiently use it. So your total input of fertilizers and water will be less. Next one is faster maturity. Faster maturity. Obviously, that is what we look for. The time to mature, that will be a little less. So it will quickly grow, mature, and then we will have multiple cropping cycle in 1 year. Overall production will increase out of the crop field. And the best thing about it that we should mention without any doubt, no foreign gene. No foreign gene. Foreign gene are not there. So more existing genome and DNA has been modified, edited. Foreign gene was not introduced. That is why this will give extra benefit to us. How? Because many country where we export rice, we are the biggest exporter of rice. Basmati rice we export to European country and many other countries. And Europe is close to GM crops. They are not accepting GM varieties of anything. So this is not genetically modified. They are not transgenic. Gene has been not transferred into it. So they are genome edited, modification has been done, but that not transfer of gene. Europe has problem with the transfer of foreign gene. There is no foreign gene, right? And that what it will give you some benefits. Here, once you explain it all, you will have a nice answer body, but you need to conclude it. In conclusion, you can put some extra and relevant thing, right? I always say that for conclusion, you don't need to look here and there. Once you read the topic, save some important aspect for the conclusion itself, and then you can use it. Got it? For example, if we have to conclude it, if I'm writing over here, then we can say that because this is not having any foreign gene, it just genome has been edited. So majority of the GMO regulations, rules and guidelines will not be applicable onto it, right? So that will give the benefit to it. And the second thing, because foreign gene has not been added, then what will happen? The process of approval will be simplified and quick. And the third, India's opportunity to export the rice to the other countries, especially Europe, who are not open for GM and transgenic crops, won't be getting affected. So we'll fulfill our requirement and still we won't compromise with anything. Rather, it will boost the entire thing. So what will happen? We can talk about, regulatory context. Regulatory context that we can end upon. and that is what? Exemption from, right, right, not total exemption, but partial exemption. Exemption from GMO regulation. Second thing that we can write, about simplified approval process. Simplified and quick approval process. And third thing that we can write, export to European countries will not be affected. Why? So why, you know the answer. The why, because there is no foreign gene. So all these things are linked to this. Got it? So this is how we should think and take the thing forward. I hope this is making sense to you, and I'm sure that you know about it. You have cracked prelims. The toughest hurdle is prelims only. And once you clear prelims, you prove your mettle. You prove yourself. So my duty as a mentor is not to explain thing to the last possible point, rather to give you a broad but still insightful skeleton so that you can write. And I'll advise you one thing. When I'm writing onto the board, you should also be writing. If you find it relevant, you should be writing, and then you can work it upon. Right. Anyway, we are going towards another topic of biotechnology, and that is again very important one. And this topic is important in a way that they might not ask such a straight question like this, but then you might need to address the issue if they ask question about GM crops and biotechnology. So again, I am saying that it's very less possibility that they are going to ask such straight and blunt question, right? But here the purpose is not to guess the question, rather to touch those area. So here the question is, why has India not approved commercial cultivation of any GM crop since BT cotton? Right, that line is just indicative. Explain the reason behind delay in GM mustard and other GM crops. So GM mustard and other GM crops. Right. So one thing is clear, that if we talk about the transgenic crops, then BT cotton, right, is something that we are growing at the commercial level. Rest all of them are not yet accepted. Yes, we are going with the trials and field trials and the last stage of it, right? But in terms of transgenic GM crops, BT cotton is the only one where foreign gene has been added, right? So we'll talk about that. So this is one topic that we can discuss. And here we can talk about the first thing. I mean, obviously the first intro that you have to write, that intro part, you have to write a little thing. Like you have to write that in 2002, BT cotton have been accepted in India, and then BT cotton has been a very successful crop because the pesticide application in the cotton crop field has reduced and it has impacted the environment positively, and therefore cotton production has increased also. But then from that point till this point, we have not accepted any transgenic crop. So little bit introductory part, because they have already mentioned this BT cotton, so you have to write that too. And then we'll come up to that reason behind not accepting any transgenic GM crop in commercial cultivation, right? So let's, intro part is about BT cotton and its success in India, right? And then we'll come down to the next one, and that is the main reason, right? So reason. So this area now we are discussing. Reason behind delay. Right. So now it's your writing ability that how do you want to address it. My job is just to tell you that how we can do it, right? So first thing that I can tell you that in India we have regulatory hurdles and policy inconsistency. Now what is that? So first of all, let me write it. So the first thing is regulatory hurdles and policy inconsistency. Regulatory hurdle and policy inconsistency. Got it? Now what is that? You know that in India we have something called GESC. So GESC, I don't need to mention more about it, but GESC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, that's the authority and committee which take decision about recommendation and a decision about the GM crops and their application, right? So this committee, which is basically scientific in nature, will assess, estimate, will go and read the reports of the field trial, and it will give the final verdict. But sometime what happens that GESC is already given their own verdict and that is positive, but the government will be imposing a ban onto it in spite of getting the positive sign and signal from the GESC. That happened in 2009. In 2009, GESC recommended commercialization of BT cotton, and then Ministry of Environment stopped it. And Ministry of Environment said that it need more studies and public consultation. That we can understand. That was genuine way. But still, the inconsistency is visible because GESC is under the Ministry of Environment, giving the all reports and is still being contradicted by the bosses, right? So this pattern, there has been a pattern over here, and the pattern is that scientific body gives approval and then political intervention that creates deadlock, right? Similarly, similar thing happened with the GM mustard also in 2017. So again, just listen once, that scientific body and committee are giving positive approval, but political intervention is creating deadlocks. So that is something that we can call it like regulatory hurdles and policy inconsistency. Second one, that is again the very legitimate thing we can say, public opposition and activist influence. Public opposition and activists influence. So public oppositions are there, activists are, they're crying about biosafety, biodiversity loss, socio-economic impact. Small farmers will not be getting good benefit out of it. It might be only benefiting the big farmers. So such kind of things are there which must be addressed. We'll talk about that too. So here the same thing happened, because here though we can give example of, here we can give example of BT cotton, sorry, BT brinjal, not cotton, I'm sorry. So BT brinjal, and here we can give example of GM mustard in India. That's the DMH11. Because in 2017, this DMH11 was approved for the environmental release. And this environmental release was all set to be followed by commercial release. But case is going on, litigation is going on, PIL has been filed. Supreme Court is now listening the activists as well as government representatives. And then we are at deadlock, nothing is coming out. It's moving with a very slow pace. So there should be way out. We'll talk about the way out also, right? Next one is economic and trade consideration. Here we can talk about third one, economic and trade consideration. Now what is that? Because obviously if we grow GM crop which are transgenic in nature with the foreign gene present in it, then Indian export is going to get affected. Because many countries, they are not open for acceptance of transgenic GM crop. Europe, for that example. Second thing, that seed price of these GM crops will be a little higher, right? And then it might create some problem there also. And you know that multinational companies GM crop might, create a issue related to seed sovereignty and impact on domestic seed companies, right? So we should not, we are not open to accept all the GM crops which are coming from the outside, because we don't want that Indian agriculture systems control should be going into the hand of multinational companies. That is what, right? And then political and federal complexities. Fourth one, political and federal complexities. Now what is this? You know that in our federal system, center is largely responsible for policy making related to GM crops. But agriculture is a part of a state also. So many a time this thing happen, the central government has set overall policy that will apply over India, but agriculture is a state subject also. And then in 2018, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, Punjab, West Bengal and Kerala, they came up and they clearly opposed the GM mustard, right? The center is willing, states are not willing, and that create a kind of, complexities in it, right? So these are the reason behind it. But what is the way out? Because obviously they are asking about the reason, but you cannot stop it over there. UPSC is, if the question is about the reason, then it won't be reason. Like I told you in the when we started this question, that this question might not come in that way only, and it will not come in that way only. Because UPSC is not only problem oriented, it is also solution oriented, right? So way out kya hai? What is the way out? So in this question only, if we talk about way out, right? So way out is simple, right? The first way out that should be addressing safety and environmental concern. So first way out is addressing safety and environmental concerns. that you do, right? There should be a robust regulatory framework, transparent one also, right, which ensure about risk assessment and biosafety protocols so that we can win the faith of the people. Independent research must be promoted by some independent agencies who can give the unbiased and neutral opinion about it, right? Then we can also engage into the public awareness and engagement, right? Openly communicating with the public with the help of scientific research and their findings, listening to the public concerns, and then we are building trust in that way, right? And that is our second point that we can explain into, that building public trust. Building public trust. So trust is the very important part. And trust can be developed by transparent and open communication, engagement of the stakeholders, right? And there is a lot of misinformation about it. So we need to address and counter the misinformation so that even the public should get the right thing, that trust would be developed. We know that, how we can do about it. Then we can also do one thing, we can focus on benefits. So we always talk about negative things, but then obviously negative things may be there, and there may be some very important misinformation which are creating, ripples in the public sentiment. But if we promote that how beneficial it could be, then it's again a good thing. So focusing on benefits, we can educate them about increased yield and food security. We can talk about that how nutritional value can be increased, and how we can go towards nutritional security in future. We can also talk about what kind of economic benefit they are going to get, right? So we can persuasively work about it, right? Again, the next one is equity in benefits. Fourth one, that's very important. Equity in benefits. It's a very debatable thing that people are talking about, and their concerns are genuine in some way also, that all these new technology which are coming with a little higher price tag will be benefiting the big farmers in a better way, and the small farmers might not get the benefit. Rather, in some cases, it could be, it could be reason behind their income going down. So we need to devise some way where equity of benefit should be there. Overall, agricultural benefit should be distributed among all different sections of the farmers. You know that in India, marginal farmers are largest in their number. And we cannot only think about those big farmers, right? And then the last thing that we can talk about, learning from global experiences. Learning from global experiences. That's one thing. So let's say study successful implementations in Argentina, in Brazil, in USA, how they have done it, right? And then we can also look into the local conditions, because those countries who have accepted, they have studied the local conditions and then they accepted the GM crops in their own scenario. So we can go ahead with that. We can look into that case studies, we can learn from them. Accordingly, we can educate the people, and then we can talk about it. Right. So that's another thing. Okay. So I hope you are not tired. I am not tired at all. Right. I'll go ahead. So these are few topics that is related to biotechnology, but still we are left with few more topics. and we'll talk about that too. So next question we should go ahead with. India is actively positioning itself as a leader in genomics. So here we catch one word, genomics. That means leader in genomics. With a focus on leveraging genetic diversity for healthcare innovation and economic growth. Comment. So how India is emerging as a leader in genomics, that's the one thing. And the second thing, how we are going to leverage healthcare innovation and economic growth. That's the thing, right? Again, like I told you, that the question UPSC asks in science and technology and many area, they are somehow linked with current development. Not directly current development, but they have their background in current development. And that is what we are seeing in this question also. Because very recently, our Honorable Prime Minister, Prime Minister released Human Genome Data, Genome India project. The first phase was completed, and then Genome India data was released, and it was stored in Indian Biological Data Center, Faridabad, and this data can be accessed by researchers across the world to look into, to do research and to find out and come up with some trends and patterns out of it, which will give direct benefit in terms of health care, understand disease and all. So that was the reason, and this is how the question has been framed. Obviously, I framed it, and you can always think in that way because it's upcoming related to current, so we can talk about it. Okay, so I hope you got the question, and not only question, rather you know that why this is there. So first thing, that how all of a sudden India emerged as leader in genomics. So intro part, here we have to prove India as leader in genomics. Genomics, everybody know, I won't explain it because obviously it is for main examination. So India as leader in genomics, and this is fueled by Genome India project that we started in 2020, and now we are having our first stage complete. And it's not only that. It's not only that we have done Genome India project only. We have started our work long back. So previous attempts that we have done, right? So if we talk about previous attempts in genomics that we can mention into the intro part only, that ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, they have studied HGP data, Human Genome Project data, that is a USA genomic project, right? Second thing, then once we studied the HGP data, we realized that we should go for our own data set of Indian population. Then we started something called INDIGEN project by CSIR. And we have done some work over there also. But in INDIGEN, the sample size was 1000. And here the sample size of first phase is 10,000. That means in INDIGEN project, we have collected genomic data of 1000 different people from different ethnic group living in India. And then we realized we should go for the bigger sample size to get the more data. And if we have more data, we can find more information related to genomics of Indian population. Then we went on to start the Genome India project in 2020. And in the first phase, 10,000 people's genomic data have been compiled. So these kind of things that you can write and introduce the topic, right? And then we can go ahead with a little bit more information about Genome India project. So just introduce Genome India project, and then in the main answer body, we can talk about Genome India project, right? So who initiated? Department of Biotechnology. 20 institutes are working on this mega project of India, right? Funded by DBT. 10,000 genomic data has been collected, and the data is stored in Indian Biological Data Center, IBDC, Faridabad. And now this data is available for researchers, right? So that is what we can talk about, right? Now, if we have talked about this, then what else? Obviously, we'll talk about the benefit, because the question is also indicating towards healthcare, right? So if we look into the question paper, then they are talking about healthcare innovation and economic growth. You have to link it with the healthcare and economic growth, right? So there we can talk about the application part, right? So once we have done with this, then we can talk about Genome India project applications. Right. In application part, we can talk about healthcare first, because that is what being asked. So there is something called disease research. Disease research, that's the first thing. Second thing we can write in personalize medicine. We'll talk about that too. Third, we can talk about public health. We can address issues related to that, and vaccine development, right? Vaccine development. So disease research, because once we have data of 10,000 Indian people, then we can understand genetic predispositions of a disease like cancer, and we can develop therapy for it. We will understand the genetic basis of it, and we can develop the treatment for it. Second thing, that it can give you personalized medicine. If you know my genomic data, that how and which kind of genetics I'm having, then scientists can develop a therapy and medicine which is 100% suitable for me. So according to the people's genetic profile, individual centric treatments, tailor-made treatment will be available with no side effects and highly effective. Even it counter the disease like cancer and all, right? Then we can talk about public health, right? So developing a strategy. Once we have data of 10,000 people from across the India, and we are understanding the genetic predisposition and genetic basis of the disease which can prevail in India, that we are more exposed to, that we are more risky towards, then we can develop a strategy for disease prevention and its management. We can foresee it that what will happen if such kind of outbreak is there, how to deal with that. So knowing the possible impact and understanding the magnitude of it will help you to manage the things in a better way, right? So that is about your application. Now they are talking about one more thing, that is economic development, right? They are also talked about economic growth. So how economic growth will be linked to it, right? So if we talk about economic growth, so first thing, biotechnology is upcoming area. It's a very upcoming area, right? By 2025, by the end of this 2025, the market size of biotechnology will be $150 billion. And that is something that India would like to harness maximum out of it, right? So bioeconomy growth that we can see. So the first thing over here is bioeconomy growth is there. And what is a expectation? What is a projection? The $150 billion by 2025. And we would like to have a good share of it, right? And for that, we need to show that we are also a leader into this. We are also a leader into it, right? और उसके लिए क्या शो करना पड़ेगा? Technological advancement. So India is utilizing advanced technique like next generation sequencing and PCR models, Sanger sequencing. All this technological advancement that we are displaying by doing indigenous project, or we are doing it by completing the first phase of Genome India project, by contributing into the Earth Biogenome project, we are basically placing the good candidature in bioeconomies area, right? So second thing that we can write, Indian technological advancement and international cooperation. International cooperation you can mention like Earth Biogenome project. Earth Biogenome project, right? That you can talk about. Got it? So this is where we show the leadership in terms of technological supremacy. Not only that, once you show it, then you are putting your candidature, your foot into this bioeconomic growth that India is and the world is already going through. And things changed after COVID for India in terms of biotechnology. Everybody know about it. But again, we all know that these things are there, but what are the challenges and opportunity? So genomics, challenges and opportunity, that you have to compile it once and use it anywhere you want to use it. So if there is a question on genomics in India, and then challenges, right? Genomics in India and challenges, right? So this is something like potato I'm giving you. You can use it anywhere. Wherever genomics is coming, Indian context, you can put these challenges, 4 or 5 challenges point I'm writing. The first one is cost. It's very costly thing, right? Second one is data analysis. It takes a lot of time and effort. So make it like lengthy process. Third one is ethical concern, because we are collecting data from human being. And ethical concerns are many, we'll talk about that too. Then there is something called public perception. public perception about all this project, that what kind of data we are coming up with, why we are collecting data, data is kept at some place, right? And then the last one is legal framework for data privacy. So my data is there, and in future if these things will go and grow better, then this all concern would come up, right? So India has made considerable, growth into this, but there are some problem related to it, right? So nowadays India is positioning itself as a leader in genomics, and the focus is that let's get the benefit by displaying the technology in bioeconomic sector, right? So that is what we can talk about. Okay, let's move on to the next question, because we still have biotechnology aspect, and there is one very interesting area which emerged, and that I'll talk about, right? And that is called genomic surveillance. What we call it? Genomic surveillance. So let's talk about that too. So I have already framed a question around genomic surveillance. And if you look at this question, just read that. I'll read it for you. And the question says, by effectively implementing and strengthening its genomic surveillance program, India is better equipped to monitor the emergence and spread of infectious disease, inform public health responses, and improve overall public health outcomes. Comment. A little bit complex setup, but if you look into the entire thing, there is one word which stands out, that is genomic surveillance. And according to this question, the question itself is showing that India is better equipped. It means that we have done something in genomic surveillance. So we have to exemplify those things. And we have done this to monitor emergence and spread of infectious disease. So monitor करने के लिए, inform public, and improve overall public health outcomes. So how genomic surveillance can help in monitoring, informing, and improving overall public health concerns, if we can break it in that way. So here, because genomic surveillance word has been used over there, and that we have to talk about. So first thing first, we have to define it. So if we go with this question, how to deal with that question. So intro part, that we call it starting part, we have to define genomic surveillance. Now, I mean, you know that what is genomic surveillance. If you study human genome, then it is genomics, human genomics. But if you study the genome of the pathogens, disease-causing organisms, then it is genomic surveillance. Genomic surveillance, it's a process of monitoring and studying the genetic makeup or genome of pathogen like virus, bacteria, and then in that way we track their evolution and spread. We try to find out their new variants. And this genomic surveillance has been used very much into the COVID and also in tuberculosis, TB, right? So what we do, that we just collect the information, data of the genome of the virus and bacteria, virus in case of COVID-19 and bacteria in the case of tuberculosis, and then we read it, right? If there is any change, it means the new variant has come up, and then we analyze that what this new variant can do. So basically what you do, when you monitor this pathogen evolution, then before the pathogen can harm, you can prepare yourself. So first of all, you have to go with the definition, right? And then once we have done with the definition, then we can address the main issue, that how India is better equipped to monitor, inform and improve, right? What genomics can do, right? So we'll talk about that, right? So what is the key application? So let's talk about the main body, and there we'll talk about key applications. So here what we do, again I repeat, that we sequence the genome of the pathogen, we track the variant, and then we inform those stakeholders for policy making, for prevention, for public health, address and all, right? So more objectively, if we do genomic surveillance, then what we can get? And we are already doing two genomic surveillance. One is for COVID, another is for tuberculosis. So in COVID, if we take one standardization, then the key application is early detection of outbreak. So the first thing is early detection of outbreak. That's one thing, right? Second thing, healthcare associated infection, right? So it can track the antibiotic resistant bacteria in hospitals, right? And other healthcare setting, and obviously it is antibiotic resistance, so we have to deal in some other way. So healthcare associated infection. Healthcare associated infection. You can write it, and you can also write like in context with antibiotic resistance in hospitals. It will also help in understanding disease spread. How much disease will spread? What will be the overall impact? It will give the estimation of it. Then if we know that variant has come and it is going to damage us, then we can inform for vaccine development. So information for early vaccine development, right? Then again we can write, we can also guide lines, we can also guide for public health policy. So guiding public health policies, right? And you have to give, because it is all about India. And like we have talked about that India is doing and better equipped for the genomic surveillance we are talking about. So how? You have to give examples in Indian context. So now you have to prove in the second paragraph of your main body. Obviously, you have to compile all the thing in 200 words. That's your challenge. That is why I'm not explaining things to the next stages, because of two things. First, you don't need it. You are already past the prelims examination. You just need the hint for it. Second thing, you have to write it in very limited word and time. So even mentioning the points and explaining with one line will be enough, right? And moreover, I would like to cover more and more questions in a lesser span of time, so that even if you watch this video at 1.5x, I know that you will do that. Still, you can save a lot of time and you can get the proper input of it. Anyway, so now we can do something about Indian position. In genomic surveillance. That is what we are going to discuss. And here we have got two examples, very important two examples. One is INSA-CoG. INSA-CoG for COVID-19. Everybody know about it. India SARS-CoV-2 Consortium of Genomics. Right. It's a multi-agency network of 54 laboratories across the India, which constantly monitor genomic variations in COVID virus. And then we come up with any new variant, and then we can prepare ourselves before it could spread to the mass level, right? And it was initiated by Ministry of Health, Department of Biotechnology, CSIR, ICMR to track and study the COVID-19 variant. And then there is something else that we can talk about, and that is second one that we can talk about is Dare to Era D TB. Dare to Era DTV. Right. Just look at this. So this is about tuberculosis, right? And in this dare to eradicate TB, there we have something called INTGS. That is called Indian Tuberculosis Genomic Surveillance Consortium. Indian Tuberculosis Genomic Surveillance Consortium. Indian Tuberculosis Genomic Surveillance Consortium. It's already there. And it is again DBT, CSIR, ICMR. So we can write about it. We can mention that how TB is a new menace because of the MDR, and the other variant of the TB is now disturbing the entire TB eradication programs, and how COVID had disturbed our life very recently. So I won't go into the detail of it, but you can always write about it. Right? One area that I always feel that it's very important, right? Although that's an easy one, now the easier area would come. And that area is this one. Just look at this. Genomics offer powerful tools for transforming agriculture. So one thing is there here, genomics in agriculture, enabling us to develop more productive, resilient and nutritious crops and livestock. So not only crops but livestock also, to meet the growing global demand for food. So here is a global scenario also. Obviously, so we can talk about it. And we have talked enough about agriculture. So this is not going to be a big deal, right? So genomics means, sequencing the genome of anything. And crops, if the crops are being sequenced, if the crops genomes are being read, studied, and data is being stored somewhere, it is genomics for agriculture. And in India, agriculture, in the world scenario also, agriculture is very much, linked to livestock rearing. So for livestock rearing also, we always try to rear those livestock which are better, isn't it? So here we can talk about that this technology is used to identify genes related to desirable traits, disease resilience, resistance, drought tolerance, improved yield, better growth and breeding process, so that we can enhance the food production, right? That we can write. And then we can talk about, so first of all, in introduction, you have to talk about genomics in agri, and you have to explain a little, just introduce it, that what we exactly do in this. And then we can talk about application part. So second thing, the body part is application. And application is easy now. The application part is crop improvement, the first one. Enough has been already talked about for crop improvement. I mean, obviously, if you are going to improve the crop, you need to know first that what is the genomics and genome of the crop. That only you can improve. You can make it disease resistant, pest resistant, higher yield, better maturity, right? Second thing is livestock improvement. So that's there in question. So you have to explain it, right? So similar to crop, livestock, here we'll identify genes associated with traits like disease resistance, milk production, meat quality, and again selective breeding, desirable characters and all, right? Then again one more thing, it's not limited to that. If we study the crop and livestock's genomics, then we can understand one very important thing, that is host and parasite interaction. So it will also help you to understand host and parasite interactions. Host and parasite interactions. Because obviously, this pathogen and parasites are there both in crops and livestock. So if you are able to manage the disease better, if you are studying this interaction. So study the interaction and manage the disease in a better way, right? Second thing that we can talk about is accelerated breeding. Breeding. So accelerated, fast breeding. So accelerated breeding that we can do, right? So that we can have more and more, like we have already in a cloning program, we have done cloning of many animals, right? Although in cloning it directly doesn't link to this, but the motto is that only. And now this genomics is also being explored in that way. Then very important aspect, precision agriculture. So understanding the genome of the crop, and then you are doing tailor farming practices for a specific crop and according to the condition optimization, right? And so, and obviously there is one, developing new traits, those traits which are useful for us, both in livestock and there. If somebody talk about the concern of it, then concern I have already given you, cost, data analysis, because vast amount of data will be generated in genome sequencing and it will be very complex thing, take a lot of time. Ethical concerns are there, right? In agriculture and everywhere ethical concerns are there, right? That this data, potential use of data, unintended consequences, need of responsible data management, that something is not spilling out of it, right? And then we can talk about initiatives in India. So if we talk about in this way, because obviously you talk about global concern and initiative in India, then we have already mentioned one thing. So India is part of Earth Bio Genome Project. So Earth Biogenome Project is all about that we will sequence every plants and animals which are present around. And India, it's a global project. And India is now sequencing 1,000 plants and animals species in India. and contributing in this Earth Biogenome project. I mean, all country who have some advancement in biotechnology, they are doing it. And India is also doing it. Right. So that is what we have done till time. So that we can write about the Earth Biogenome project, we can end it over here only. And obviously the data that India will get out of all plants and animals, which is 1000 in number, we can use this data to develop better crops, better livestock, and will fulfill our goals for it, right? So this is one, a little more towards agriculture and livestock. Now we are moving on to the next question, and this is going to be the last question in biotech section, and then after that we'll take other topics, other chapter also. So biotech, 8 question I have selected, 8 area I have explored, and then we'll talk about more. Here, gene therapy in India is a promising area. So that one thing is there, gene therapy, and the promise thing we are looking for, significant potential to transform healthcare, especially for rare genetic disease. Discuss its development and recent trends. This is all about that recently, few years back, India developed its own CAR T cell therapy that is called NEXT-CAR19. First of its own kind of therapy that India developed, and it was approved in India for cancer treatment. Right. So in India, gene therapy is now an evolving field with significant advancement and promising future prospects. Although, very honestly, that it is still in early stages. Got it? So, what is the key aspect of gene therapy in India? So, key aspect of gene therapy in India, that how we can deal with that. The first one is growing research and development. We are in early stage, so that you have to write. You have to write it in a very intro that obviously we are showing good promise, but we are still in early stage. And then we can show the key aspect of gene therapy in India. First is growing research and development. Growing research and development. That is happening. So remarkable growth in gene therapy. Because awareness is more about the rare disease, global approval of gene therapies, academic institution, biotech companies are engaging into it. So that is one thing. Then again, the second thing, government support is there and regulatory framework. How? Like ICMR has released national guidelines for gene therapy. Right. So that framework is all set to promote safe and ethical gene therapy implementation. And that has also contributed in that growth in India. Second thing, third thing, that we are focusing on affordability. So focus on affordability. Affordability. And I can give you example of Indian CAR T cell therapy, that is Indian CAR T cell therapy, that is way more cheaper than the international versions. That is called NEXT-CAR19, developed by IIT Bombay and associated thing. And then you know that in India, many clinical trial in process. Clinical trials in process. So we are open for the clinical trials. There was a time when the clinical trials was also very tightly regulated, but now we are opening up with that. hemophilia A, right? That Christian Medical College Vellore is already doing it, and result is again good. Genetic eye disorders and their clinical trials are going on. Cancers clinical trials are going on, and approval has been given, right? So that is one thing. One more thing that we can add upon, fifth one is that it is also addressing rare diseases and genetic diseases, right? So it is addressing rare diseases and genetic diseases, right? Like that is why, because genetic diseases are very hard to treat, and that's become problem. So that is what we are doing. But again, these are all the thing which is related to the development of gene therapy in India, right? And I have already enumerated 5 points that why it is developing in that way. And obviously, you must be having some knowledge about gene therapy from your foundation and the previous studies that you have done. But again, there are challenges, because once the gene therapy is in early stage, the challenges would be there. So what are those challenges we'll talk about? Challenges in gene therapy part, right? So first challenge is high cost. Obviously, second challenge is, we need a skilled workforce. So need for a skilled workforce. That means good doctors and scientists who are working in that thing. We are improving regulatory mechanism, but still some hurdles are there because it is linked to human disease and sufferings. So there are a little bit of regulatory hurdles, and that's genuine one, because obviously you cannot easily give the permissions for the clinical trials and all. And the biggest thing that India is facing right now, it is manufacturing constraints. Manufacturing constraints, because it require a very ultra advanced setups to manufacture the gene therapy component. And whenever you have to sum it up, you can always write some examples. And CAR T cell therapy that is developed in India, that is next year 19, is a very good example that you can write it. Right? So we have already done the biotech part, and now just take a break of 5 minutes or 10 minutes, pause this video and come back, and we'll start with another chapter. We'll take again few questions and we'll explore some area, right? See you. Okay. So I think your 5-minute break is over now, and I'm back with some more question. And then you can see this question right there. And now we are entering into the new topic, new area, because in the last segment, we talked about biotechnology and different aspect of it. But now we are moving on to two more topics that is mentioned into the main syllabus. One is nanotech, another is robotics, and we'll pick up the important aspect of it. Now you can see the question, the first question of nanotechnology, and that is related to development of nanotechnology, right? That is development of nanotechnology. Can you see that? Can you read that question? So it says that India has made significant strides in nanotechnology research and development with a strong foundation in basic research, infrastructure, and human resource development. Comment. I mean, I have made it simple, but then this question can be asked in various ways. So basically, this question is all about that you have to write a nice 200 words, 150 words about development of nanotechnology in India. right? So we can go ahead with that, right? And everybody, I mean, if you are preparing for UPSC, you must be knowing that uh, this all started. I mean, nanotechnology is upcoming technology. The next era in terms of technical achievement is era of nanotechnology, and every country in this world who are technologically serious about the development and all, they are looking for nanotechnological development, and India is not far behind. But in India, you know that the project started with NSTI, Nano Science and Technology Initiative, that was started in 2001. And then in 2007, we started with NSTM, that is Nano Mission, right? Nano Mission. And the Nano Mission is Nano Science and Technology Mission, that was in 2007. 2007. So we can frame our answer around that, right? What we can talk about, we can simply talk about that. Obviously, baat hai. You will have to go with the intro part first. So when you are writing, then you will write intro part first, and in this intro part, you are going to express something about that how India is moving towards development of nanotechnology. You can simply tell that nanotechnology development in India has seen significant progress, particularly after announcement of Nano Mission in 2007. And then this mission is backed by substantial amount of budget, right? Then it is aimed to promote basic research, infrastructural development, human resource training, and also international collaboration in nanotechnological development, right? That is what we can talk about. And then we have established many dedicated centers for it. So that is what we can talk about, because here the entire focus should be on nano mission. And nano mission has got very important key initiatives, like the one is promotion of basic research, infrastructure development, human resource development, right? Then promotion in industry and international collaboration. So that way you can introduce this topic in this answer, right? And then we can talk about the key initiatives. The second point that we can write it, like once you have done with the intro, then we can go with the key initiatives. And when we talk about key initiative, we can bring it this two. So these two will be coming into the key initiative: Nano Science and Technology Initiative, and then Nano Science and Technology Mission, that is in 2007. And these all things are obviously being backed by Department of Science and Technology, that we know, right? So that is what we can make the intro part. So intro part, introduce it, prove it that how nanotechnology is important for India and what India is aspiring to achieve in that, and mention these two key initiatives that India has already started, backed by Government of India's program DST, Department of Science and Technology, right? Now, area of focus achievement that we have to talk about. So in the next segment, we can talk about area of focus and achievement. So area of focus and achievement. So area of focus and achievement that we are going to talk about. And there, the first thing, like I told you, that we are working for basic research, that we are working for. The second thing that we are doing, that is infrastructural development. Infrastructural development to promote the basic research itself. We are developing center of excellence where we can promote the basic research, and then we are also focusing on development of human resource or human capital. Human resource, you can expand this point, right? So that we can have a skilled workforce for everything, right? So these are the area of focus. And not only that, these are the area of focus related to your development, but there are other area of focus where we can get, the direct benefit, like healthcare, right? So nanotech in healthcare, we can simply talk about nanotech in healthcare, and we can give some example right out there that nanoparticles are being explored for targeted drug delivery, for cancer treatment and killing of the cancer cell, rather diagnosis also that we are looking for. तो वो भी कर रहे हैं, right? Not only that, we are also exploring nanotechnology, nanotech for environmental cleanup, environmental cleanup, like wastewater management, finding out the pollutant, right? We are also exploring nanotechnology, nanotechnology in defense application, right? Defense application nanotechnology means we are developing different type of sensors, right? And lightweight armors, stealth coating, right? Explosive detection sensors. So these all things that can come up into defense. And don't forget two more things. And these two more things which are very important. Another one is energy, and it is fuel cell. UPSC has asked question about fuel cell in the prelims examination also, and agriculture. You need to mention it because obviously India has already launched nano urea, so you have to mention it, and nano DAP, diammonium phosphate. These are the two nano fertilizers that has been launched. So the format is very clean. Once this type of question is there, first introduce the importance of nanotechnology in India, what India is aspiring for, then go for the key initiatives, and these key initiatives are very easy, that is NSTI and Nano Mission, and then just jump onto the area of focus or area of achievement. Obviously, we won't leave it there only. Obviously, point wise we'll have to go, and there would be something called challenges. So challenges must be mentioned, right? Now it's all depend upon what is the length of the question, what is the demand of the question. But like we can see in this question, particularly they're not asking for any challenge, right? So our answer can be, that would be around the things that we have discussed so far, but we can give a little bit of, uh, conclusive part where we can address the challenges and then we can find the way out for it, right? So challenge and the way out. So challenges is what? Challenges are what? Like the first one is uh, industrial participation, because nanotechnology is everyday technology. It's a general purpose technology. So unless private sector and industry will be able to participate, it won't grow to the level where you want, right? That is one thing. Second thing, that it should come out of the lab and it should go to the market. So second is commercialization, right? So adequate commercialization should be there, and then obviously we want to bring it into the market with fast pace. It should come, and for that we need to collaborate with academics, industries, and even at international level. So collaboration, and there we can sum up. So it's not only challenges, it is challenge as well as way forward. Now these kind of things you should keep in handy, because whenever you feel like, you can use it in nanotechnology anywhere, right? In nanotechnology, anywhere they ask, you can use that. What my point? So this is how this question can be dealt, right? So very clean question, development of nanotechnology in India, and then you have intro, you have main body, you have some key focus area, and then you have challenge and way forward. Obviously, you have done your studies. I am giving you a skeleton. On that skeleton, you can put a lot of things and you can go ahead with that. Anyway, so now we'll move on to the next question and let's talk about this question. And this question is a little bit precise in the manner. This question is precise in the way that it is exploring a particular sector. So there you can see, this is exploring a particular sector. Can you see that? I'll read this question for you, that nanotechnology offers significant potential for revolutionizing agriculture by enhancing productivity, sustainability, and food safety. So agriculture is the core area. Here, the core area is what? Agriculture. And their components are there: agricultural productivity, agricultural sustainability, that is linked to the environment, and food safety, that is people centric. Mention India's progress in agriculture, nanotechnology, and its impact. Very apt question, right? And in the last discussion only, I talked about that India has launched 2 nano fertilizers. One is nano urea liquid, another one is nano DAP liquid. And India became first country in the world to do this. So we have already entered into that particular era where nanotechnology is being explored in agriculture sector, right? So how we are going to discuss it? So first thing, obviously the first thing you will like to go with the intro part. So if you talk about intro part, then in intro part we can introduce the entire thing, importance of nanotech in agriculture. How nanotech will bring something new in agriculture part, right? Because it is offering solution to the crop production enhancement. It can also helpful in resource management. Obviously, it is ensuring food safety. And the most important thing, it's a nanotechnology. So it will be manipulating things at nano scale. That means you can manipulate things in the crop at cell or cellular level, right? And then it can give you those benefits that is not possible by other parallel technology that we are using, right? So here, what we can talk about, that we can simply look into that what are those areas we can find out, those areas where the nanotechnology can be used, and I can make it simple for you, right? So once we have done with the intro, let's go with the body part, right? So body means the main body. So here we can talk about very easy format I can give you, that agriculture nanotech. And this agriculture nanotech will have various area. One is nanobiotech. In nanobiotech, with the help of nanotechnology, we can improve the crop, right? So improved crop variety, which will in turn improve the production, maturity time will be reduced, and all kind of things we can do. The second thing that we can have is nano fertilizer. Nano fertilizers. So that will help in what? It will help in crop protection. So that is for crop protection. Crop protection. And there we have nano urea liquid and nano DAP, diammonium phosphate, that is there. Then we can have something called nano pesticides. Pesticides. And you know that nanopesticides will work upon target specific. So it's a target specific thing. It's like targeted drug delivery. So these things will target only a particular harmful pest, not all insects, right? So this will be sustainable and environment friendly, targeted approach, right? And it will be environment friendly, right? I am just giving you a skeleton that you can use it, right? And then we can use nano biosensors and nanomaterials, right, for soil improvement, and we can use it for detection, real-time detection and monitoring, right? So we can add two more thing out there. Two more thing we can add here. One is, here I am writing, nanosensor for monitoring, for real time monitoring, right? And at the last we can put in nanomaterials. So those materials which can improve upon the soil thing, right? It can improve upon the soil thing. So here I am writing nano material for soil improvement, texture, fertility and all. So at least 5 area we can talk about. For each area you will have something, because obviously once you have passed the prelims examination, I don't need to get into the details of everything. That is not required. So detailed part are not required. But yes, I can tell you a little bit. Nanobiotech means with the help of nanotechnological tools, what we can do, we can change the genetics of the crop in a more precise way, and we can bring in those characters which are useful for us, like to enhance the production, to add some nutrition, to reduce the maturity time. Nano fertilizers, we have two examples, nano urea liquid, nano DAP, and that is not only beneficial for the crop protection and crop health, right, but it will also environment friendly, because it will lead to very low secondary pollution. These fertilizers are being used in very less quantity. The uptake by the plant is better. So these fertilizers, these chemicals will not be coming out easily and contaminating the different part of the environment, right? Similarly, nanopesticides, targeted approach, so amount will be less, it will be sustainable, environment friendly, without killing any other insects which may be useful for us. And these two things we have already talked about, right? So that is what we talked about, right? So that we can use it. And now you can understand, once you use this technology in agriculture sector, then what will happen? The crop productivity will increase, nutritional value will increase, and then overall our food safety and security will be enhanced, right? So we can sum up with that. But there are some challenges and considerations, right? And for there only it will come out the way forward. So challenges. So challenges are like what? The challenges are, first one is the cost. It's a costly affair, and we'll have to bring down the cost. Initial implementation of all this technology will be a little more costly, but we have done wonderful job when it comes to nano DAP and nano urea, because the cost of nano DAP and urea is way less than the normal urea and normal diammonium phosphate. So we have done a remarkable job. We can mention that too. Second one is safety, because whenever we do some changes in any crop at genetic level, and whenever we use some chemical in our crops, then it is linked to our health. So we have to be very careful about the potential risk of nanomaterials which may enter into our bloodstream in our body, and it can cause and pose some kind of danger. Researches are going on, and we are making it more safer, far more it's safer, right? And the third one is regulation. Regulation, right? Regulation means that clear guidelines should be there from the government side, what can be used, what cannot be used, right? And that will give you direction and responsibility to use nanotechnology in a proper way. Fourth one that we can use is public perception. Public perception. Because nanotechnology is a new technology and we need to make people aware about this new technology, and not only that, they will be also be able to accept it in a proper way in agriculture also. Now we can give example of nano urea liquid. It's a very good technology, but it is not being accepted wholeheartedly by the farmers of India, and there has been some issues related to its implementation and the result raised by the farmers. What I feel that this agriculture nanotechnology is one area that can be explored, and the reason behind it that this particular thing is linked to development of world's first nano urea liquid in India and development of nano DAP liquid in India, right? So this is something where we can give examples and we can substantiate it. So these two questions that we got it from nanotechnology, right? Any problem with that? So again, I'm telling you that this is all about creating the skeleton, and then obviously I cannot dictate all the point in detail because you will have very less time out there to write it. So mostly you will be using flowchart, diagrams, and you will be using points only. So I'm enumerating points so that you can keep in mind, right? Next question that we can go ahead with, that question is coming from robotics. And this question is also something that I thought that we should talk about it. And that is robotics is a key component of Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0, or Fourth Industrial Revolution. Briefly explain its role and benefits. Examine India's position in deployment of industrial robot. Right. Now this question you can see. So it is already saying that this is key component of Industry 4.0. Role and benefit, and then India's position. Very clear thing. The first thing you need to know is to understand the command of the question. You need to understand the ask of the question, and then we can talk about. Right. In our mains classes and science and tech classes, we have already talked about all these things, but still, if any of you who need a little more input about it, we can talk about here also. So first of all, you need to just make sure that you are aware of Industry 4.0, and obviously you are aware of. So this is Industrial Revolution 4, where digital technology will be utilized and applied into industry, and then we will enhance the capacity and capability, will enhance the productivity, right? And we are going to use many things there. You can mention it. We are going to use cyber physical system, we are going to use big data, we are going to use AI, we are going to use Internet of Things, and we are also going to use, rather we are using robotics. So robotics is a key component of Industry 4.0, because it will enable automation, it will increase efficiency, it will give you precision in manufacturing and other industrial process, right? And it is integrated with, this robotics is often integrated with AI and IoT and big data, right? And it will create something like a smart factories. All the things that you have to put in the intro part. So the intro part, what we are going to do, so in intro part, we are going to connect this industry 4.0 with robotics, right? That connection will establish it by saying that what robotics can do in industry 4.0. Like I told you, that 4.0 robotics will enable automation, it will enable increased efficiency, it will give you advanced precision, right? It will speed up the manufacturing, it will also associate with other part of the industry 4.0 like IoT, AI, big data, and it will convert a factory into a smart factory, right? So that is one thing. Now, what kind of roles and benefits? Roles mean what robots can do. For that we have data. Nowadays, robots in industries are being used in assembly operations, where manufacturing is done on assembling operations where we are using robot. They are doing automated task. They are doing metallurgical process. They are heavily engaged into the packaging part. And then what kind of benefit we are going to get, that will talk about. So the first thing that we can talk about. So the second thing, the role, you can define some role, and then we can talk about benefits. Briefly, I'll tell you benefits. The first one is robots will increase the production rate. So high production rate, because a robot will work faster than the human being, right? Second thing, better product quality, better product quality. Why? Because robots will do no mistakes. It will be highly precise. Human error will not be there. So the product that will come out of the assembly line and manufacturing unit will have very less problem with it. Third thing that is very important, that it will also make the product cheaper. Cheaper because maintaining a robot in a long run is cheaper than maintaining human labor. The amount that we spend for human labor in terms of salary, in a long run that is going to cost more to the industry, and robot in a long run is going to cost less. Yes, initial expenditure for the robot could be a little higher, but according to International Federation of Robotics, the payback time of robot and its installation has came down to 2 years. That means within 2 years, the robot can give you so much of benefit that the entire cost of the robot can be recovered. And then after 2 years, the robot is working only on maintenance and energy. And you will be saving a lot onto the human or labor salary. So overall, your input, capital input will be a little less. So you will be able to launch this product at the competitive. I mean, you don't need to explain in that way, but still we can write it. Right. Cost effective in long run. Right. So cost effective in long run, and that will reflect onto that too. Right. So cost effective in long run. Right. Next one, better safety better safety, because obviously human things, human errors will not be there. And even if there are some mishap with the robot, then your safety protocols will not be applicable. The government enforced occupational safety laws and rules will not be applicable. So it is better, offering better safety, right? So that is another thing, right? And one more we can add, if you want to, that it will also not have any kind of legal hassle, less legal hassle. So legal hassles are less, in the term that it will not have issues related to labor law. It will not have issues related to, occupational safety laws. So all kind of things will not be there. So these are obviously, the points can go very lengthy, but we are not putting to that length. We are keeping it, close only, so that you can use this point into your answer, right? So that is what we can talk about. Now, role and benefits we have talked about. The other thing that we need to talk is your benefits in terms of India, right? Sorry, not benefit, right? India's position. And for that, we can rely upon data. We can rely upon data. And the data that we are having of International Federation of Robotics, IFR, right? The International Federation of Robotics, that is already there, and we'll talk about that too, right? So if we talk about India's position, so what we can say, that in India, it is slowly picking up. Many Indian company has emerged, right? And they are doing good into it. And we can write some points out there, that according to World Robotics 2024 report published by International Federation of Robotics. World Robotics 2024 report published by International Federation of Robotics. Right. Total robot that we are having is 8,500 industrial robots were installed in India in 2023. That is the latest one. Now this data, you can use it, because in main examination, at the places where they are asking some precise thing, you will have to put some data. So that is 8,500. And I'll tell you one thing. This 8,500, again, this is 60% more than 2022. So you can see the growth. In terms of growth, we are having very good growth rate. But then there is another way. Don't focus only on these data. Data and statistics are different kind of game. So if we compare India's progress with the Chinese progress, then in the same 2023, in that report only, World Robotics 2024, China has installed 2,75,000 robots in the same year. If we compare with China, we stand nowhere, because China is 2,75,000 robot, 2.75 lakh robots. Yes, 2.75 lakh robots. But here we are having only 8,500 robots. But what we are doing? We are progressing. Moreover, so that is one, the progress is already there because in our country also industries are willing to accept that. Moreover, we have also created some way so that industries and startups can engage into robotics, either in development of robotics or deployment of robotics. And then in 2014, we established something called AICRA, All India Council for Automation, All India Council for Robotics and Automation. Robotics and Automation, right? So this AICRA in 2014 that we have established, it's a non-profit organization which not only provide the standardization in robotics sector, but also give all supports, logistical support, administrative support, financial assistance, right, international collaboration to all the startups, and not only startup, but those industry who are willing to, explore the robotics and automation in their sector, right. So that we have done, right. Then we came up with something called National Strategy for Robotics. National Strategy for Robotics. That is also there. And under National Strategy for Robotics, right, it was launched by MITI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It has created a roadmap, and this roadmap will lead India to the position where India will emerge as a leader in robotics by 2030. So that you have to note down, right? 2030, right? And the last thing that you can write over here, we are also encouraging, we are promoting participation of private sector into it, because we know that robotics is all about industrial application at the first place. Yes, robotics is there in healthcare also. Robotics is there in the environmental aspect also, defense also. But the biggest application of robotics is there in industry. In industry, if the private sector, private company will come forward, then only it will be there. And many robotic company have done wonderful job, which are private sector like Asimo Robotics, Inventor Robotics, Zen Robotics. They have done good job. They have made many robots which are being used in different industries, right? So on that particular point, we can sum it up. So what I feel that this particular question has a lot of potential, right? Because it is something, because we are exploring, right? What we are exploring? We are exploring that how industry 4.0 will be benefited by robot and robotics, what kind of role it can play, what kind of benefit it can give, and India's position. Now the thing is that this question might not come in that way, but the content of this question can be utilized at various places, either if they are asking about industry 4.0 or they are asking about robotics in industry, right, or they are asking about, let's say, automation in industry. So this question or content can be utilized in the various way, right. Now we are coming to our fourth question in that segment, and that is also a very important question, and that is robotics in defense is rapidly evolving. Explain with example and applications. Briefly explain its advantage and ethical implication. Right. So that is one thing we can talk about. So are you ready for that? Now this warfare going on and drone war we have already seen. Indo-Pakistan engaged in a warlike situation, and this war was different from the war that we have fought and engaged earlier. It was a kind of drone war, right? So somewhere we are being pushed towards high-end technology in the warfield also. So we'll explore that area too. So here we can talk about intro part. And in intro we can introduce the concept of 3Ds. Concept of 3Ds says that robots should be used in dull work, dirty work, and dangerous work. Right. So dull work is dull means where human creativity is not needed. Obviously, defense is not a dull area. Lots of creativity is required. Dirty work is those work which are not human, that is not dignified work like manual scavenging. And dangerous work are those where human life is in threat. By enumerating this three, by giving example of 3D, by mentioning 3D, we can always tell that use of robot in warfield will reduce the risk onto the human life and soldiers, and it will enhance the security. That is why all countries, including India, exploring robots in defense sector, in warfield, right? We can use robot in different ways. So very nice, crisp intro we can give. I'm sure you will be able to do. Now, specific examples we have to give because they are asking about examples, right? An application. So there will prove that why it is rapidly evolving. So if we go with the examples, so in your main body, we can talk about UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicle. So UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicle, they are drones, and these UAVs that we have developed, they can be used for surveillance because they have camera attached to this. They can collect the surveillance data and it can give it to us. And in this surveillance operations, what will happen? Your soldiers will not be under any risk. These UAVs can also be utilized to bomb, to attack onto certain area, and some of them are remote operated robotic system, right? So there are something called remote operated vehicles or robotic system, and that robotic systems or vehicles which are remote operated, right, can use some task like it can find out, identify and handle some explosive into the warfield, right? It can explore and it can detect the nuclear and chemical contamination, even the biological contamination. So that can be used, right? These are the specific examples. We can use humanoid robot also. Humanoid robots as soldiers, right? So there are humanoid robots which are already developed in some other country like Boston Dynamics of USA has developed Atlas. It's a full-fledged humanoid robot which can play a very important role in the warfield, and it can be converted into a robotic soldier as well. According to all the reports which are coming in, DRDO is also developing humanoid robot for frontline military mission. For frontline military mission. So you can keep these robots at frontline so that the robot will act as a shield to the human soldiers, right? And these robots are designed for the tough terrain, right? Right. Another thing that we can use robotic system for tough terrain. Tough terrain. Like recently we have very good example, that is mule. Mule. And mule is a robotic dog, a robotic animal kind of a structure that has been inducted into Indian Army. Right. So that is multi-utility leg equipment. So this 4-footed robot can be utilized. And then this 4-footed robot has been already accepted. More than 100 units of them has been accepted. And Indian Army is going to use this robot in the tough terrain to carry the load. Because in tough terrain like Ladakh and other area where you have to go and climb onto the steep, you cannot carry the load beyond a limit. So there they use animals. But this mule will phase out animals, right? And it is solving lot many ethical concerns as well about the animal uses. So we are all set to reduce the load onto the animals, dependency onto the animals, and will use robotic devices for that. Right. Then another one for robots for mine detection. Mine detection. So mines are there, we can use robot for that. Right. So these are the examples where we can use. I mean, obviously, examples are again it will can go and go, but we have to stop the example at such particular point. Right. So example and its application. Right. Application that can be enhanced, it can be elaborated in some way. Briefly explain its advantage and ethical implication. So there we are going to have a discussion. Right. Advantage, what is the advantage? So here we have to talk about the ethics also. So once you are having robotics, so there we can explain ethical concern, robots in defense, right? And the robot in defense can be utilized in two ways. It's up to you, how do you want to use it? As a killing machine, right? And obviously we won't go with that because that will raise many ethical concerns. Because a robot is killing human beings doesn't sound good. It's against the dignity of human life. It is against the CMO's laws of robotics. I'm sure that you must be knowing it. So remember, many things, the basics one, I'm not going to deal, and I'm not dealing by assuming that if somebody has cracked prelims, then they must be knowing a lot many things. Rather, many of things that I'm explaining, you already know, I'm sure. My duty is to just to compile it at one place so that it can give you a little bit of insight. And I'll tell you one more thing, that when you are going to write the main examination, there will be lot many content in your brain. Your brain will try to vomit a lot more content. All you need to do is to concise it, and that you can do it with the points, flowcharts, these kind of structures. So robot as a killing machine won't be good idea. What we can think about robot as helper to soldiers, to human soldiers. That means it will be a kind of human robot coexistence. So we can explore the human robot coexistence. That principle we can explore. This is something which won't look good, right? Right. Because using an automated robotic system which is there moving into the war field, indiscriminately killing the soldiers out there. It will be, interfering with many conventions related to the war, right? It won't be able to differentiate between situation. It will have just one work to kill, and that won't be a good idea, right? It won't be a good idea. So robot killing human being is not a good idea. That we can explain nicely with one paragraph, right? Because it is against Asimov laws of robotics, which says that robots by any way will not harm human being. Against the dignity of human life, right? This is also can be mentioned. It will also breach many conventions and ethical rules that we use into the war field, right? Where if somebody is coming to surrender, but robots will not understand the surrender thing, it might kill indiscriminately. There will be no emotion involved. And if there is no emotion involved, what we can expect out of it, right? So that is one thing. Here we can use it. Here we can use it in what way? That let's say if we are using robot as a helper to the soldiers, then soldiers' fighting ability will increase. The ultimate purpose of any technology integration into the defense sector is to win the war, is to take the edge over the enemy. And taking edge over the enemy, here it can also be, right? यहाँ भी कर सकते हैं. कैसे? Let's say there is a robot and this robot is front line shield just in front of the human soldiers. They're detecting mines. They're helping human beings in the war field. They are carrying the weapon and reinforcement. They are carrying the water and food. They are assisting the wounded soldiers. They are bringing back the wounded soldiers from the war field to the base camp. They are engaged into the dangerous spying and surveillance program. All these things can add value, and there would be something like human robot teaming. A team will be created where the human and robot will team together. It will involve together, and human robot will work together to achieve a common goal. But yes, ethically, in the warfield, who will pull the trigger and when to pull the trigger, why to pull the trigger, this decision should be there with the human being, right? So in that way, we can get into the ethical implication of it, right? And obviously, if we go with the future trend, if we talk about another point, future trend, if we go with the future trend that we can sum up with, then robots are becoming more autonomous, and that is why they are being used into the defense sector. Israel is using it, America has developed it, China is all set for that. An integration of robot with the AI will enhance the decision making also. It will also help in threat detection and overall battlefield management. And you can also write last point, and that is either human robot coexistence or human robot teaming to achieve a common goal into the war field, right? So two sector we have done. One is nanotechnology. We took 2 questions from there. Robotics, 2 questions from there also, right? So I think before we start a new sector, we should take a small break. I'll also come refreshed, and then we'll take some more questions to take the things forward. We are going to take questions from each and every area, and I'll tell you once again, if you are preparing for mains, then this is going to make sense to you. But if you are new to this preparation, it might not make sense to you. But in future, once you have done with the foundation courses, then it will be clear, because obviously I have to discuss it in a question and answer format, and then we have to talk to the point over there, right? So that is all, and I'll take another session. Just take a small break. तो फिर next step, in the next step we are going to discuss about some very important topic related to space technology, some topic of defense technology and nuclear technology, right? So we are discussing very important points coverage in the form of question and answer in science and technology. Why I have chosen question and answer? Because science and tech is a very diverse area, and then we have to select the topic and we need to discuss it. So I thought that why can't we go with the question answer format, so that you can get an idea of what kind of and what format of question that you can expect from here, and in that way we can also discuss the topic, right? So that is what we can talk about. So here you can see first question of a space technology, and the question says space technology is increasingly recognized as crucial for national security, right? So it is connecting space technology with national security and is being integrated to India's defense strategies, right? Explore the key area of space technology in Indian defense. It means that there is a very simple topic in mains coverage in the classroom, that is impact of a space program on defense sector of India. So basically this question is exploring the topic that impact of space program, right, on defense sector, that's the topic, right? And obviously we can start this answer from any intro that you can make it. I don't need to coach on that part, that how would you like intro. You can simply say that space technology is not only a technology for scientific exploration, right? Rather space technology can also play very important role in country's defense, because space technology is now established as dual technology. So dual technology, and any technology which are dual technology, it will have its implication both in welfare and warfare, right? So welfare and warfare, it means that space tech can increase the war fighting capability of any country, right? And that is why space is being explored in defense technology. All the recent war which are going on, all the spats that India, recently involved in with Pakistan, we could see that how space is increasingly getting importance in national security. And then we can go with the pointers, the main body, right? There we can enumerate the pointer. The first pointer that we can go with, historically, that Indian missile development program, right, is based on, this program is based on ISRO's launch vehicles. ISRO's launch vehicles. So Indian Missile Development Program, like that, is based on ISRO's launch vehicle, and we all know the story. I don't need to repeat it. That Dr. Kalam was once serving ISRO, and he played very instrumental role in development of SLV-3. That was India's first launch vehicle. And then after successful demonstration of SLV-3, Dr. Kalam was transferred from ISRO to DRDO to start integrated guided missile development program to develop 5 very important missile for India, that is Prithvi, Agni, Akash, Trishul and Nag. Trishul is not there anymore, but still we have 4 missiles coming out of it. The first ever missile India developed on its own was Prithvi, and Prithvi was the first missile, and it was based on SLV, that is satellite launch vehicle of ISRO. So that integration we can put in, right? That Indian missile development program was heavily benefited by achievements that was done in rocket science in launch vehicles, that is ISRO program. And India's first missile system, that is Prithvi, was developed on the technological background of SLV, that was nothing but our launch vehicle. Similarly, nowadays missile development program is not the only thing. Rather, we have another system that is called missile defense system or air defense system. So, the missile defense system or air defense system. Air defense system. Now these two systems, these are the very important one, right? And these two systems can be integrated and interchangeably can be used also, that missile defense system or air defense system. Both these systems are heavily dependent upon inputs of a space technology or a space related technology. Like we have satellite integration with it. We have very important radar system and sensors which are placed across the country and borders. And all the information from these sensors and radar are integrated together with the help of different satellites. These data and these signals are sent to and fro to the different places across India and across the border, that is through satellite communication only. So that is one more thing that we have developed, right? Another thing that India has developed, we can talk about, is our navigation system. So navigation, satellite navigation system. Satellite navigation system, right? That is Navik. I don't need to talk much about it. Everybody know Navik. And Navik is again a space technology. And this space technology of Navik provide India a very reliable and accurate navigation signals so that our missile can hit the target. Most important part, with the development of Navik, India don't need to depend upon any foreign origin navigation system. So we have our own navigation system based on our own satellite, and that was helped by space sector into defense sector. Moreover, we have satellite for secure communication. Secure communication. So India has launched many satellite for secure communication. The example that we can give is GSAT 7 and GSAT 7A. GSAT 7 is for Navy and GSAT 7A is being used by Air Force, and some part of it is being used by Army as well. So these are the defense communication satellite India has launched, right? Moreover, India has also developed something for electronic warfare. Electronic warfare, right? And for electronic warfare, India has developed EMI-SAT. EMI-SAT. That is called electromagnetic intelligence satellite. And this electromagnetic intelligence satellite can track the activity of the radar of the enemy in border area. So it will be very beneficial at the time of the war when you are tracking the activity of the radar, and then it will also help you to find out the precise position of the enemy radar. And once we destroy this radar, then we can create a safe air corridor so that we can go and attack deep into the enemy territory. So such kind of systems are already there. Moreover, we use these satellites for spying and surveillance. So there is another thing that we are using, surveillance and a spying purpose, right? So surveillance, right, and a spy, and there we do it with the help of remote sensing satellite. So we can keep on going for it. It's there, right? You get my point? It's already there. Lots many things are there. Moreover, one thing we can add also, that India has developed anti-satellite capacity. We don't need to forget it. and that was Mission Shakti. Mission Shakti in 2019. So Mission Shakti in 2019, that was done and conducted successfully by India, and India demonstrated that we can kill the enemy satellite if the enemy satellite is intruding in our way. Obviously, by that way, we match the Chinese capability that China has done the same thing in 2007, and we matched it. So we are also having anti-satellite capability, right? And then, you know that to make it even more proper, right, we have something called integrated integrated space cell. So integrated space cell is a system that is being operated by, it's a setup that is being operated by all armed forces of India, all three wings of armed forces of India, and that has primary duty to make our space secure, to keep eye on the properties that we have placed into the space sector, right, and to take any kind of action if we are under threat by any enemy state. So if enemy state is threatening and posing risk and going to attack on our satellites and space properties, then this is integrated space cell will work against it, right? So these are the things that we can list. Obviously, we all need, because you are framing a mains answer, so you won't be able to write too much of the details, but pointers would be easy. And then at the last, you can sum up. One very important thing that you should understand, that there are two words. One is called space weaponization. Another is called space militarization. Right. Although India has already signed on Outer Space Treaty of 1967. India is one of the party of Artemis Accord, right? But you need to understand that even after signing all these peaceful application of a space-oriented treaties and accords, almost all countries are having some way or other weaponization of space. So we are already determined that India will promote peaceful application of space. But because of the threats of the other country, India is forced to weaponize some part of its space sector so that we can have advantage of it in the time of war, right? We can secure our borders and land. But again, you have to mention at the bottom, at the conclusion, that India is against space militarization. There should not be like a space force. We are against it, right? So space weaponization, again for peaceful, we are not for attack, but to protect it, right? And some degree of space weaponization that we cannot avoid. But the space militarization is something India is never looking for, right? So on that note, you can complete that. Now, we are coming to the second part, and the second part is again one of the area that is very important, and that can come up in any question in different ways. Space technology has a broad and far-reaching impact on society, extending far beyond the realm of scientific exploration, beyond the realm of scientific exploration. Explain in context of Indian space program. It means that again it is nothing but Indian space program and its impact on society. Right. So that is what we have to talk about. Any problem with that? So question is very clean and clear, and there we can talk about. And we all know that space is a technology which is integrated with many technology of everyday life. For example, IT. For example, communication. For example, television. For example, public broadcasting and public addressing systems. For example, agriculture, right? So we'll have to show it, right? So how we can link space, technology and society. Society means how society is getting benefit out of a space technology. So there we need to understand one thing, that space technology is integrated with many technology which is impacting directly onto our life. And that impact is positive. It is basically impacting on very important aspect of life. This is also a technology which can improve the quality of our life in various way. So we'll focus on that word, right? So here what we can say, that is space tech, right, improving quality of life. Why it is doing so? Because it is integrated with many things. It is integrated with many things, right? For example, I can give you, right? For example, let's say one by one, we can take some example, right? So first example, we can take it like information and communication. Communication technology. So information and communication technology. You know that information is considered as, right, door to the knowledge. And knowledge is a very powerful tool. The information and communication is important in our life because in that way we get to know about the educational opportunity, the job opportunity, the health opportunity. The government will have a way out to reach to us, right? So information access is very important. This information access will allow us and empower us with the knowledge, and this knowledge will be based on different announcement being done. You can imagine television is very strong medium and it can connect directly. You see that many government ads are coming onto television and they are empowering us with the knowledge. Election Commission, Ayushman Bharat, Fasal Bima Yojana, these all kind of information are being displayed onto the television so that a common man can understand in his or her own language, right? So that is the power of information access and communication. Once you communicate, even the communication is one way, but still you can empower, right, with the knowledge. So that's one thing. So DTH, satellite television, even your VSAT technology, very small aperture antenna or terminal, these all will provide this information. Another is, the second area is agriculture development. Agriculture development. So when we talk about agriculture development, then same thing applies over there. Farmers will be aware of all the agricultural activity and agricultural schemes, right? Platforms like Doordarshan, Kisan Television, Kisan Call Center, and e-Krishi applications that will help farmers to access real-time agricultural information, right? And you know that all these things are linked with information technology, communication technology, and backbone of information and communication technology is a space technology. Second thing, that remote sensing plays very important role in crop monitoring, right? So crop monitoring in agriculture sector is another area where remote sensing satellite plays very important role. It can also offer in crop evaluation program. It can also offer the services in yield estimation, and it will also help us to manage disaster. It will also help us to prepare before the disaster can arrive, right? And moreover, you know that we have in geography, you talk about LIS, land information system, right? GIS, geographical information system. So land and infrastructure management, that can also be done with the help of remote sensing satellite and many space technology. So development of infrastructure for the agriculture is also based on that, right? So that's very important aspect. Third one is rural and urban development. So rural and urban development, that is better civic development, planned city, planned village with all kind of civil amenities. And for that again we use space technology for the mapping, planning and execution, right? And there our remote sensing satellite plays very important role. We are connecting a rural area with the national highways, Pradhan Mantri Sadak Nirman Yojana, that is connecting the villages to the highways and the roads, and then this connectivity will increase the quality of life. So at the first place we see that road has done the wonders, but if you go in the background you will see that okay, how are we able to make the roads at such faster rate because of integration of a space technology in planning and execution, right? So remote sensing satellites are playing extremely great role, right? Again, I can add fourth and fifth area. Fourth area is tele-education, very impactful, and tele-medicine. So both is working on the same principle. Let's say there is a rural area, and with the help of VSAT application, very small aperture terminal application, tele-education and telemedicine, these services can reach to the remotest part of the country. And the last man of the society, the poorest of poor, can also get a very good and quality education and medical help. And that is how the society will grow. So you are UPSC aspirant who have already cleared prelims examination, preparing for main. My pointers will be easy to grasp, and you can make the entire story around it. You can frame the answer according to your writing skill, right? So that is how you can write. Yes, and we can always write conclusion in any question, and we can say that in last last two decades, space technology has already played very important role, and space technology is now integrated with a common man's life in various way, and their quality of life has improved and it's still improving. The education are reaching, the jobs opportunity are reaching, right? We are developing job creations and job clusters in rural area also, and we are integrating them and connecting them with the big cities. So this physical distance is being diminished with the help of it. In that way you can write. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We have many questions to discuss. Now this is very important aspect again, and it's talk about space technology is a powerful catalyst for nationals in economic growth. Explain how does Indian space sector contribute to India's economic growth. Right. So again the thing is very simple, that is space technology. Space technology with, that is connecting with what? Economic growth. So there could be linkages there also, and I'll tell you. So again we can go ahead with that because these are the similar topic, right? You know that in the modern time, if a country is technologically advanced, you will see the growth in economy also, because now we are switching to the next era or next generation of economy, and that economy is based on data and knowledge. And space technology is all about communication, data. These two things is dominating in space technology, right? And there is also some aspect that will contribute directly to the economy. I'll tell you how. So that is your premise, that is your intro part, you can say. And then we can say like, what are those things that we can develop? So the first thing that you can develop, communication and service industry growth. Communication and service industry growth, and how things are happening over there. Like communication satellites, we have launched many, and these communication satellites has enabled services like DTH, and it is all over India. Now you can imagine this DTH is impacting the lives of the people by providing them information, entertainment and knowledge, but also collecting a lot of revenue. Lot of GST is being collected from this one particular sector. Not only that, this DTH, this DTH is also providing job opportunity for millions of people, and that is also contributing in economic development of the country. Not only DTH, there is VSAT applications. So VSAT is another thing. VSATs are being used by the big companies who are technologically doing business in data and communication sector. Many television company, new channels, they are using it, right? And they need digital connectivity. So they are using it for digital connectivity and digital application. And there also there is a lot of employment opportunity and economic activity is being promoted on that way, right? So that's one thing. The second area that we can directly connect with, that is management of natural resources and infrastructure development. So management of natural resources and infrastructure development, right? Now there we can see the role of remote sensing satellite. You have to write it. So remote sensing satellite that plays very important role in management of natural resources, right? Like I can give you example, mining, agriculture, fisheries, right? And not only that, infrastructure development is also based on that. Like I just talked about road making, agricultural infrastructure development like canals, irrigation canals and all, right? So road, railway network, irrigation canals, urban planning, rural planning, civil amenities, right? These all are based on this. So in economic principle also, there are two things. The first thing, if you develop infrastructure, then economic activity will start. In communication sector, we have done the same thing. We have developed the infrastructure of many communication satellite, and then we saw that DTH and VSAT like services started coming in. And second is, if you manage the natural resources beautifully, then your productivity will increase. Just simple economic rule. Develop the infrastructure, economic activity will start. And if you manage the resources better, your productivity will enhance. The both thing we can achieve in that way, right? Then there is something called third point, space industry cooperation or collaboration. Space industry cooperation or collaboration. Many technology that has been originally developed for a space sector is now being used in different industry, technical industries. ISRO is already providing consultancy services to many industrial area, many industrial sector like heavy engineering, telecommunication, aviation. These are the prime beneficiary of a space technology. And any capacity that has been developed in a space sector is not going to, limited to that space sector only. So once you grow in space technology in country, then the impact of this growth of space will reflect onto the other industrial area also, right? And that is direct benefit again. If your industry is a standing world class, then your position in the world economy will also strengthen and your national economy will also improve. And that is basically fostering growth and innovation based on technology. So that is one thing. And then we can talk about, that, okay, we have also ventured into commercial space service. Commercial space service means that we are also selling the launching services into the international market. We are making satellites for them. We are helping in remote sensing. We are selling remote sensing data, right? So what we are doing, we are expanding our reach in global space market. We are offering satellite launch services. We are offering remote sensing data. We are offering communication solutions based on space technology to international clients. And to achieve this, we have already set up two commercial wing of ISRO. One is Antrix, another is NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. Sorry, oh, I'm so sorry. Antrix and NSIL. NSIL, New Space India Limited. So Antrix was established in 1992 and this was established in 2019. So these are the two commercial wing. And not only that, it is also paving way for commercial sector to enter into the space technology. So to sum up, you can write it that to enhance the more economic benefit out of the space technology, ISRO has opened door for the private sector to work in space technology. And NSIL is the single window where this private company can come and they can work in association with the ISRO. Association with private company will enhance the capability in space sector and it will also enhance the economic growth. So that integration you can write in, right? Next one we can talk about, that is also very important one. Right here, you can see it that India's space diplomacy focuses on leveraging its space capability for international cooperation. So international cooperation, particularly with developing nations, to foster sustainable development and promote regional leadership. Right now, this is very good aspect, particularly when you talk about, right. So first, that in the very first intro, you have to talk about what is space diplomacy. Remember, this is for main examination 2025. And I always remind you every now and then. Why? Because we are not talking about the very basic things of any technology. Because if somebody who is preparing for mains examination, they are knowing a lot many things. A little bit direction would be sufficient for them to get all the content from the entire lecture. So space diplomacy, we have to define it in your way. So space diplomacy is use of space activities and technology to foster international cooperation, build relationship, to achieve foreign policy goals. That is what we do, right? So there we enhance diplomatic ties and promote peaceful application of space technology in that way, right? So that is a space technology. What are the key aspects? So key aspects, if we talk about, the space technology, space diplomacy, So if we talk about key aspects of a space diplomacy, then the first thing is international cooperation. International cooperation and soft power. Right. That's one thing. So in a space related project like International Space Station, scientific research, joint satellite mission, if we engage with them, then we associate with some of the developing country, the front runner developing country, and that will help in soft power and international cooperation. Right. Then sustainable development. Sustainable development. Now, you know that we use space technology to address global challenges like climate change, resource management, disaster relief, right? And it will benefit all the country indiscriminately. So if you are having a very robust space technology, you can offer all these things to your neighboring countries like India does it. India provide this data related to disaster relief, weather phenomenon to all the neighboring country in South Asia, right? Again, one more point that we can add, that third point we can add, that here we also do national security, right? So national security, and our national security is there, but again, once you are having a very robust space technology for your national security, then many country will be willing to have your association, rather your help in space technology, so that they can also get the same advantage for their own, right? And that is what in India going on, in India and around India going on. Chinese aggression in space is increasing. China has already made an organization called APSCO, that is called Asia Pacific Space Cooperation Organization. So APSCO is being, it's being led by China, Asia Pacific Space Cooperation Organization, and many countries are already part of it. Pakistan is part of it. Bangladesh is part of it. Nepal and Sri Lanka, they have been talking to China, and China is trying to lure them, right? Because they know that a space tech is not only a technology for welfare, it's a technology for warfare also. And to any country's national security, space integration could be important one. And this could be one tool of space diplomacy. Although India is also active in that, India, to counter this APSCO, India has already launched South Asian satellite. South Asian satellite, right? We have launched it. We are providing the services of Navik to neighboring countries for free. We provide remote sensing data to them, right? So that is what we are doing. So at one part, it become like India and China. Now, the next one is what India is doing. India's space diplomacy. India's space diplomacy, because question is saying that you have to talk about in terms of India, right? Right. So I'll tell you one thing, like what India has done. So India has launched South Asian satellite for SAARC nations. Second thing, Indian Navik is there for SAARC. India has signed Artemis Accords and India became 27th country to sign it, right? And this Artemis Accord is again US-led accord, which is establishing a framework for cooperation in lunar exploration and peaceful application of space technology, right? India is also doing many joint satellite mission like we have done with France, we are doing with USA. So France, we have done Megatropics, we have done it, and Saral, we have done it. With USA, we are going to do what? Nisar. And this all will give you a space, right? Advantage in a space sector. And not only that, it will also downgrade the Chinese aggression because China is trying to lure. China is playing its card in space diplomacy and we are countering it, right? So there we can frame the answer is space diplomacy, and then what kind of advantage space diplomacy can give and what India is doing. Remember, you have to write all these things into 200 words only. Now let's come to the another part. Now this is very upcoming, right? I'm not taking all the things which are mainstream. Like human space flight is mainstream, and I'm sure that anybody who is basically preparing for this mains 2025, they have done wonderful job with the human space flight. And in the prelims also we have discussed it. I'm not going to repeat it. So rather utilize the time to find out those area which are diffuse area. So if you see this lecture, and you can grasp this lecture only when you have already cleared the prelims examination. Then you can grasp it fully. And these are the diffuse area which can be used at the various places. Although I have tried my best to keep it in question answer format so that you can get an idea that how to frame it also. So here, drones are increasingly vital in modern defense, offering diverse capability in combat missions. Examine the importance of drone in modern warfare. Very apt question, right? So drones are being used in intelligence, surveillance, right, and direct attacks. They are very important part of electronic warfare and logistics. They offer real-time information. They also reduce pressure onto the troops. So reduce troop exposure to the danger. Right. They save our troops from the exposure to the danger. And then with the help of information that we collect from the drones, surveillance drone, we can also do rapid and faster decision making. You get my point? So that is what we can get it. Now we can break it down, right? We can break it down. So what kind of advantage? So intro we have done it. Advantage. In advantage part, what we can do, that advantage is in intelligence and surveillance. That's one thing. Intelligence and surveillance. For that, we are also having some system. We can track enemy movement. We can look for the bunkers. We can also go and have a lookout for their arms and ammunitions, their missile area, their nuclear facility, right? And for that, we can use drones. Like we have one drone that is called Nishant. And that drone that has been developed by India that can do surveillance job very well. Right. Then we have combat and combat support. Combat and combat support. So now the drones are so advanced that they can directly hit the target. They can drop the bomb and they can come back, right? For example, if we go with, then Tapas is a drone that has been developed by India. And very recently, we have something called Nagastra, loitering munition. Nagastra. We can give this particular example. Then it can also help in border security. Border security, right? It can also help in search and rescue mission. So, search and rescue mission. Right. It can also help in mine detection. Mine detection. And we have system for that, which can detect mines, right? So these kind of things we can do, advantage, right? Again, it will reduce risk to personnels, our armed forces. It will be cost effective because drones are made. I mean, if you compare a drone with the jet fighters, the drones are very cost effective. It will increase operational efficiency. That is why now the drones are being used in all over the world, right? And we have developed something. So drones are now equipped with high resolution camera. They are using advanced sensors. They are doing border patrolling, intelligence gathering, right? And like I told you, Tapas, Nagastra, Nishan, these are the drones and we are using it. They can also play very important role in target acquisition and attack, like combat and combat support. So target acquisition is combat support and attack is combat, right? But again, because you are developing drone, then we need to develop anti-drone systems also. So if you want to sum it up, then you can go with the anti-drone system. An anti-drone system like we have D4, it's a very good anti-drone system. You know that we have used it. And it can destroy the incoming enemy drones. Pakistan has attacked with hundreds of drones and we destroyed them all. Right. So future warfare and the modern warfare is already going to the level where drones will be playing very important role. Right. And for that we need to develop drones which are AI enabled, technologically very advanced. And we can also mention some key players who are there in drone thing. For example, DRDO has developed many drone systems. Aerospace. Gadura Aerospace is again another company, right? And then Adani Alpha Design is also there in drone. And Operation Sindoor, you have to mention that in Operation Sindoor, India's drone warfare capability were well displayed. Not only India's drone warfare capabilities, but also India's anti-drone capability was displayed, right? So this is one area you should be aware of. Now let's move on to the another very important thing, right? This is something which are upcoming and important. And it says that quantum technology is rapidly advancing and the potential impact of quantum technology will be enormous. Discuss the progress of India in this field. Very clean question. And you have cleared prelims examination. You know that this question is targeted towards National Quantum Mission, one of the very important mission that is going through. So first of all, you need to understand that what is the demand of this question. So you have to, in the intro, we can simply write what is quantum technology. So quantum technology leverage the principle of quantum mechanics, which governs the behavior of matter and energy at atomic and subatomic level, to develop new and innovative technology which are not possible by any other existing technology. like quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing, right? And then its advantage will encompass through different sector. And then we can go ahead with what are the different sector, right? So sectors of advantage we can write, like it can be used in drug discovery, right? Because quantum computer can can simulate molecular interaction with high accuracy. So molecular interaction simulation can be done with the utmost accuracy. So designing a drug would be easy, right? Second one is material science. Material science that will link to nanotechnology. You know that the core of nanotechnology is quantum only, and we can design and discover new materials with a desired property, new material with desired property, and we can use it, right? Then another one is quantum cryptography or quantum cryptography to make the communication very secure. So quantum key distribution, right? It will revolutionize the entire communication sector by quantum encryption and quantum cryptography. And then the security of the data that is flowing onto the internet will be highly secure. Then it will also help in medical imaging. Medical imaging. So medical imaging means quantum sensors can be used in a squid-like system. Squid is quantum interference. So that is squid, SQUID. So superconducting quantum interference device. So superconducting quantum interference device that will be accurate like MRI and even beyond. So that what we can do, right? Now what India is doing in that way. So if we talk about Indian context, it's easy to talk about Indian context, and the Indian context about it is very clean and easy. That India has already taken one step, and that is called National Quantum Mission. National Quantum Mission, right? And what is the scope of National Quantum Mission? So you have to write the scope. So scope of National Quantum Mission, I'll go little detail in this, that the scope encompasses various aspects of quantum technology. That includes computing, communication, sensing, and material. Computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing, and quantum material. That is called 4 thematic hubs, right? That is the scope. We want to explore 4 areas under this mission: quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum material, and quantum sensing, right? Second one is funding. So funding is there, right? And in the time span of 2023 to 2030, in that time span, total 6,000 crore has been allocated for the mission, right? And what are the thematic hubs? Thematic hubs. So I told you thematic hubs. We have 4 thematic hubs. One is quantum, computer, quantum communication, quantum material, and quantum sensing. Quantum sensing. So when I say quantum computer, India is all set to develop its first quantum computer in a coming months only. It's almost complete, right? So quantum computer will be a new era of computing, a new way of computing where we can handle very complex data in a very short span of time. I mean, Google has already established the quantum supremacy when Google claimed that quantum computer can do the calculation within few seconds, and the same calculation will be done by supercomputer in years, hundreds of years. So hundreds of years of calculation by supercomputer, quantum computer can do it in few seconds only. That is why quantum computer is going to be the next big thing, and lots many new things will coming up. Got it? Second thing that we can talk about is quantum communication. We all know that communication need to be robust and secure. For that we use encryption. But as per quantum computer, nothing, no encryption would be stronger than quantum encryption. And once quantum encryption is there, then our communication channels would be so secure, the data will be so secure, and probably we are going to use this. Probably we are going to use this quantum communication in satellite communication, in defense communication, and at first go. Quantum material, new materials, right? Like magnetometers that we can use into the, let's say, atomic clock, superconductors that we can use in different medical imaging instruments, right? And other places like supercomputers can be used in fusion reactor also. So all new things which are coming up will be linked to that. And quantum sensing and metrology, the fourth one, this will allow you to measure subatomic level of distances and measurements. So very accurate sensing and measurement can be achieved, right? That is your quantum sensing, right? Now, what is the key goals? After that, obviously, I am writing here. Next one, key goals. So, key goals or key focus area, right, is to, let's say, foster innovation, skill development, entrepreneurship, and industry partnership, right, with the global collaborations, right. So, these are the key goals of this mission. I am repeating again, if you could write it. Technological innovation, skill development, entrepreneurship, industry partnership, and global cooperations. Key player कौन से? So there are key players in this. Key players in this. And key players are obviously Ministry of Science and Technology, right? And it is being implemented by DST. So Department of Science and Technology, that is the implementation being done by it. And then IISC and IIT. These institutions are playing very important role. So Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Technology, and Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, DIAT, are actively involved. So DIAT, IISC, and IIT, they are actively involved in this mission, right? Many startups, several startups are already there, like one startups like You Bacchon, if you could write few names, right? Then there is called Quanastra, right? Right. Quanastra, Indianized name, right? And then there is something called Quan2D. These are the startups which are working in this sector, right? DRDO is also involved because obviously defense integration is there. So DRDO is also involved for defense integration, right? So that is what we are having. For India, what kind of benefit we can have it? So DRDO is there for national security, And obviously, if we leverage full benefit of it, then it will also help in economic growth and India's leadership in quantum technology. Right. Any problem with that? India's leadership with quantum technology. Okay. So now we are moving on to the next question. Next question is again an important aspect of it. We are working on that, and you can see over here, advanced nuclear energy for enriched life, ANEEL, offers a pathway for India to enhance its energy security and reduce the environmental impact of nuclear power. Discuss. Now, this is very much in news. It was in news. And you know that recently what happened? India's largest power generator, NTPC, signed a strategic pact with US based company that is called Clean Core Thorium Energy. Right. So NTPC and Clean Core Thorium Energy, that is the NTPC is from India and Clean Core Thorium Energy is USA, and they signed a pact, and this pact is for development and deployment of advanced nuclear energy for enriched life. So the outcome will be ANEEL. Now the first thing first, why this name ANEEL is there? So with this name we are basically honoring one of the finest nuclear scientists of India, Dr. ANEEL Karodkar. Right. So Dr. ANEEL Karodkar, ANEEL Kakodkar. So ANEEL Kakodkar is one of the finest nuclear scientists in India who devoted his life for thorium research. He has a vision that thorium is something that can shape the Indian future in terms of nuclear energy. Homi Jagir Bhabha, he has given us India's 3-stage nuclear power program, and this man, Dr. ANEEL Kakodkar, has paved the way for it. So to honor the gentleman, we have taken this name, ANEEL. So ANEEL is a fuel. Basically, ANEEL is a fuel, right? ANEEL is a fuel, and this fuel is composed of two things. One is high assay low enriched uranium. So this ANEEL is a fuel, and this fuel is composed of two things: high assay low enriched uranium. High assay low enriched uranium, and then we mix this with thorium. So that's mixture of high assay low enriched uranium. A normal low enriched uranium where the uranium 235 is up to 5%, but high assay low enriched uranium will have 5 to 20% of uranium 235. So percentage is higher. So one thing is there, percentage of this is higher. And mixture of this with thorium will be known as ANEEL. The main advantage of ANEEL is that this same fuel, this ANEEL, can be utilized in India's existing pressurized heavy water reactor. We all know that India is having 22 active reactors which are generating power for us. And out of 22 reactors, 18 reactors are pressurized heavy water reactor. You get my point? And ANEEL will be able to participate into that. So we can use ANEEL for India's existing 18 pressurized heavy water reactor, right? And once thorium is used, then capability of this reactor will increase, right? So it will also provide a way, because once you use thorium, then we know that thorium uranium fuel cycle, and this thorium will be converted to uranium 233. So use of this anneal fuel will provide uranium-233, that is a fissile isotope of uranium that comes out of thorium. So this is going to help you in India's third point of nuclear power program, that is use of thorium. Now thorium is very advantageous. Thorium is mildly radioactive element. So radioactive signature and radiation would be less. Use of this particular anneal fuel will give you less radioactive waste. Management of this will be easy, right? Management of this will be easy. And even power production is higher. So once you use anneal, then it will give you more power. It will give more power. The biggest advantage of anneal that it is not weapon grade. That means if somebody is using anneal, you cannot convert this fuel into the weapon category. It's a non-weaponized one, right? That is why anneal is now being internationally recognized all the way, right? So these are the key component, and you can integrate it with the India's 3-stage power program, where first stage says that India will use PSWR and uranium. Second stage, India will use FBR, fast breeder reactor with plutonium, and then thorium will be also introduced. And in the third stage, we can use thorium and we can depend upon that. So by the end of this, it will be all done, right? So just go with the anneal, try to collect the information. And this is a very important aspect that we can talk about, right? So I'm summing up here only because obviously you have to tackle so many of subjects and science and technology is only part of it. So we talked about approximately 20 questions, and rather we gone through 20 important topics. I'm not saying that these 20 topics are all that we can do, but obviously one thing I'm very much sure that once you have cleared the prelims examination, you don't need the entire coverage from basic concepts to application. All you need is some very prominent and diffuse topic that you never or sometime it will escape out of your eye. So I have selected all this topic very carefully so that it can give you the proper insight of those areas that might have chances that it might escape from your sight. Moreover, if you command these 20 topics, I'm sure that it will help in other questions also, other answer framing also, because you see that topic is integration of one topic to the other topic. It's not like topic wise tight topics. Like it's not like that a space means a space. No, we are connecting a space with the society, we are connecting space defense, we are connecting a space with economy, we are connecting a space with the space diplomacy, IR relationship, right? In that way. So my best wishes are with you, right? And you can always write the comment on this video for more, right? And we will be able to serve you better. So just go through it. My wishes are already there with you, and try to focus on all the multidisciplinary area, right? Take care. Bye-bye.